Hello, everyone. It's Dan from Gimme 2023's best of. I've got quite a few people with me, so it's going to take me a minute to get everyone in, and I might have to edit the video layouts, but we'll get there. So first off, we've just seen him over on Wrestling Royalty. We've got Sam Smith. How are you doing?
Oh, hi. This is nice. We're together again, Dan. Oh, awesome. And Mark has just gifted someone a membership. What a hero.
Legend.
What a hero. Oh.
We've got your partner we've just been on with. We've got Andy.
Hey,
how are you doing, Andy?
I wasn't expecting it. I thought I was going to come on last, so I wasn't
ready. No, I've got a surprise where I'm doing it.
Look,
people have just seen you, so there's no surprise that you're on it. I mean, we can see what Ant is doing.
I wish I couldn't.
There we go. He's tidied himself up now. How are you doing?
Oh, no, I've just put my willy away. How are we all doing?
All right. Now.
And
Mark, gifted membership, man. It helps pay for the channel, and someone's got a gifted membership so they can use them emojis. That's rocks, man. Thank you so much.
We have actually got a special guest this time. We haven't seen him in a bit of a while, but we have actually got Dom as well.
Hey, live!
Hey guys, how's it going?
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'm okay. I'm doing all right. Good to see you guys. Nice to be back right here on the Gimme Wrestling podcast.
I told you he was lurking. I told you he was lurking. I knew he was lurking.
We got a nice surprise. So yeah, this one, it's going to be a good bit of fun because we're going to argue about who we think is the best.
No, we're not.
How many of us are drinking?
I didn't think.
Yeah, no. What? It's Christmas, dude.
Yeah.
Even Becky's drinking.
Loaded.
Sam's double fisting it as always. Not big enough to triple fist it, Sam.
You are going to have a drink.
I finished work today, apart from this.
I was wearing Christmas jumpers. I can see Sam is. I've got one on. I'm not 100% sure about the design in the centre.
Is it Impact Wrestling?
What?
It's a Harry Potter one, but it looks a little bit German if you get my drift.
Oh yeah, it does. I did think that, but I didn't want to say anything. Like
once I got it, I was sort of looking at it. I'm like, actually, I know what it is, and Harry Potter fans will know what it is, but it still looks a little bit ominous.
Yeah, yeah.
So we've got a few different categories we're going to go through. We're not going through too many because we want to keep it nice and simple. So we have got, let me hope, because I didn't realize there'd be all 5 of us on. There we go. That's what we're after.
We need this to take 2 hours, Dan. This needs to take 2 hours. So you're all still here when SmackDown begins.
This is the ugliest poll I've ever seen.
Pardon?
This is the ugliest totem pole I've ever seen.
It's the most sexy totem pole I've ever seen, especially with that bit near the top. What?
A bit near the top, so the second and third down, yeah. We know.
And just so you all know, I've got the cinnamon ready to go as well.
Oh, no.
Well, are we doing that now?
We're going to do that. That's our finale.
Stay tuned.
Nice.
Everyone wants to see that bit, so that's what we're going to keep everyone coming back for.
Yeah,
absolutely.
There's going to be a cinnamon challenge. Cinnamon challenge. Because
I
was right. So I haven't been back. I haven't been back on the channel since this happened. But I was right about CM Punk returning to WWE within the year.
He was.
And that is why Anthony has to do the cinnamon challenge. So I want full screen, Anthony, on this.
We're doing it. Don't worry. We are going to go in full screen.
Becky, are you making sure he does it properly? No half-assing it.
Oldest daughter sat here. So.
Right, good. I was going to say, I don't want any half-assing it. All right?
Like, I know he won't be but
flipping sadist.
Thanks, Paige. Appreciate it. Thank you. Great. I appreciate it. good to see you guys again. I know we're kicking this off, but it's lovely to be back. You know,
Feels like we're back in
good
LA.
to be hanging out.
Yeah, it's like LA.
Yeah,
It's
All
like
going, all going
Denny's.
drunk.
Oh no, it's like Dennis. You nearly got me thrown out there by.
I think you nearly got yourself thrown out.
You got all of us.
I was just there laughing.
I was stuffing
Can't
my
talk
face.
about
It was
Denny's.
fun.
Can't talk about Denny's. Denny's is like the fishing trip in Gavin and Stacey. We'll allude to it, but we'll never tell you what went down.
yeah. That was some traumatic Denny's action. Do you see they've opened up a Wendy's in Hull now?
Oh no!
Yeah.
Anthony and Dan, the largest Wendy's in the world, apparently, is now in Hull.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, eh? Amazing. I can't wait to go there and have some cuisine. Can I just say hello to everyone in chat as well? Sassy's in. She's already called me arrogant ant, which rocked. Loads of people.
Yeah,
man.
we know.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you, Nemeth. Thank you, Mark. You all rock, man.
Yeah, thank you all, guys. It's lovely to see you. It's lovely to see you again.
Nice to see everyone busy. We've even got Emma in. I'll bring up a few of the comments. I'm really sorry I'm covering yourself, Andy. But that's where the comments are going. I don't know why.
I feel like Mike Wazowski, Monsters Inc.
Wazowski.
It looks like we might have Emma on stream now instead.
Oh yeah,
that's great.
We've got Mark in. We need the win tomorrow, don't we, Mark? Liverpool reference there for you guys who are not sure. As we said earlier on, Mark has gifted a Gimme Hullier membership. Absolute legend. We've got Tom Talks Rubbish. Go check out Tom's channel. He's done interviews with all of us, and he's even done interviews with Sam's partner. Is that right?
He has. He has.
Yeah.
He's interviewed my wife. Yeah, that's which is interesting.
I mean, you should probably, he's interviewed some of the biggest wrestling journalists in the world, your Sean Ross Sapps and whatever. But it's more important that he's interviewed everybody here.
Yeah.
Who got more views? I wonder, Jess or Sean Ross Sapp. I don't know, but probably.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying.
I mean, Jess, because it's very rare we see, it's someone of Jess's caliber, shall we say, on a wrestling podcast. So
well played.
I haven't checked the views, but I will. Which
I'm fairly confident. I'm fairly confident Sean wins. I was just making a joke about their visages.
But yeah, we've got Nomar in as always. We've got Sassy, our awesome moderator, keeping everyone in check and in behaved.
Yeah,
even
behave.
when they're in Christmas spirits.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays to all. We've got Becky, and we've just seen Becky a minute ago.
Hiya, love.
That was so Yorkshire. Hiya, love. So,
Hey,
shall we start? Go on.
I was going to say, sorry, what about Timothy Chalamet's comments on Hull? I thought you'd all like that.
John
sexiest accent, didn't he?
Yeah, that's like, the man knows something about sexy. So there you go.
Oh, yeah. Oh yeah.
Like Gene Wilder was to our parents and Johnny Depp was to all of us. And now it's this young black man who loves a bit of Hull.
There.
I mean, have you heard about what Lidl have done?
What Lidl?
So Lidl have actually created
they've got a whole brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
A whole branded
the
deodorant.
Whole brand. Yeah, I haven't bought any. I need to, yeah.
I think we need to drink it here.
Smell of the north.
It's fish, isn't it? It's fish. Fish and burnt chocolate.
I thought it was gravy.
It's either burnt chocolate or fish.
Speak for yourselves. Speak for yourselves, guys. For me, it's fresh air and trees. But okay.
No, it isn't. I know what Preston smells like.
I'm not in Preston. I'm on the Files coast, so yeah, it's probably fish.
I love that. And that's like saying, hold to Beverly, mate. Do you know what I mean? It's like not that far away. It's pretty much Preston,
So, are you agreeing that Beverly is not part of Hull now, Dom?
No, they're still the same.
He's got you there.
It's still the same. That's what I'm saying. It's the same thing. That's what I'm saying. Where Sam is in Preston is pretty much the same thing. And so is Beverly.
But it's not the same.
But it is the same.
but it's not the same.
It is the same.
It's two different constituents.
Beverly is the same as Hull. Like, if you live 20 minutes out of Manchester, you still live in Manchester. If you live 20 minutes out of Newcastle, I bet Andy will tell you still live in Newcastle. If you live in Beverly...
You're getting close.
Andy lives in the leafy suburbs, like me.
Can you just go in the 6 month here while you figure out your borders?
If you live in Beverly, you live in Hull. That's the last I'll say of it.
This is what you come to the podcast for. It ain't the wrestling tour. It's this. This is why this thing is gonna be and has to be 2 hours. It's the only way we can get through it.
I've got an idea. Dom v. Ant, Beverly v. Hull.
Anthony doesn't care enough. Anthony does not care enough about my border issues. But I just can't. Like,
there we go. Nemeth, it's not the same.
But you're from what? London, mate, right? So
Nemeth has spoken.
What do you know? I mean,
so if you said
I'm not
is Luton the same as London?
Look, right, but it takes ages to get from Luton to London. It takes 20 minutes in a car to get from Beverly to Hull.
I love how we've only been back one day and it's already gone. It's already gone off the rails.
It's chaos.
You know what I mean?
Look, you're wrong, right? You're wrong.
This is the same, by the way, for anyone in the US watching this is going to be like, what the hell are they talking about? 20 minutes outside New York, still bloody New York.
What the Mark LFC's weighing in now. Dude, where are you from? Like, I appreciate and I respect all of you for showing up right here on the Gimme Hull Yeah Wrestling podcast, but you don't know. You don't know if you don't live there.
Aaron,
it's 20
is
minutes.
Beverly part of Hull or not? One of my old work colleagues.
The same thing.
Is in.
Same thing.
Where's Hassan?
About.
We need Hassan to weigh in on this. Only Hassan can handle this.
Right. Hold up. Right. All right. Having lived in different places in the country, right? Everywhere else I've ever been, if you live 20 minutes out of the city centre, you still live in that city centre. So where are we looking at? Preston, Chester, Manchester, York. It's the same thing, right? But we're the only place in the country with the arrogance, right, to be like, oh, I'm from Beverly, I'm not from Hull. Why? What? Because Hull was voted the worst place to live like 20 years ago. So you're still up on your high horse. Yeah, you're still up on your high bollocks to you, mate. It's people that are from Beverly are like people that are from Beverly, like they're like just fucking. Just right.
Oh, you got. We want to get paid, Dom.
Right. Hold on. Right. Wait a sec. So,
I've done a poll. I've put a poll on the YouTube community just to see what people think.
But they're not going to know, are they?
They've got Google Maps. They've got Google Maps. They can go have a look.
It's the people that are like, oh, I live in Beverly near York. What are you on about, mate? York's an hour away. You knobhead. Shut up. Come on.
Are you sure you've not been drinking, Dom?
No.
Who let Devo on? Who let Devo on the stream?
I haven't had a platform for a long time, so here we go.
Thank you, Sassy. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Sassy. Thank you for that super sticker and that $20. It goes towards the channel, so we can put out content like this. There we go.
Right. Anyway, we'll get back to the awards.
Sassy was so generous. AW stream as well, like gifting out 30 memberships, gifting out my daughter-in-law as well, like giving her some money. So kind of her. So thank you, Sassy. Sorry, have we finished the personality borderline issue?
Sorry. What? I can't hear you. I can't hear you, mate. You're too busy glitching out.
He must be in Beverly. He must be in Beverly. Too far away for the internet connection.
Yeah, he can't. He's not in KCOM range anymore. He's down south with loads of Wi-Fi. So, Yeah, shut up.
What you don't know is we've all
right.
got someone on the roof like this.
Becky doesn't even know. Becky doesn't even live here yet. Shut up, man. Becky, when you live here, you can tell me it's not the same.
Right, when I'm searching properties, Beverly never comes up.
Oh,
there we go.
That might tell you something about the Becky. That might tell you something about the price range.
Hold on. This is the last time. Right, I'll right. When you're searching for properties, what's the postcode?
Whole and a mile radius out.
For Beverly, yeah, but for what's a Beverly postcode?
What's a Witherspoon postcode?
It's HU. We're TW. Twickenham. I'm not in freaking Twickenham. Postcodes make no thing, yeah?
Dan, can you clip that so I'm not in freaking Twickenham? Becomes like a thing we can put into dance tracks.
I'm not in freaking Twickenham.
I'm not in Twickenham, but mind the postcode.
Andy's just sat there at the bottom, just like, what's going on? I thought I was on a wrestling podcast. I met these professional journalists a year ago, and now look at me. Look at what's happened to me.
I promise you, God, I would never say that about this channel.
Do you know what's funny,
folks?
They
were professional journalists.
Everyone watching this, we got invited to Money in the Bank and All In, and this is what we do. So there's hope for anyone. Just saying.
Yeah.
Sassy has a point at the moment.
Shall we start?
Let's go on. Let's go.
So we're starting off with quite a fun one, I always think. It is the face of 2023. So
these are some quality picks, by the way. Quality picks.
So should we guess who's picked what?
Oh,
go for it.
Oh, let's Dom. You do this one. Who picked who? Because there's only 4 there, so someone picked 2 of them.
So 2 people picked the same person.
Mm.
So Dom, go through. Who do you think picked who?
I was on the chat. I'm just trying to find it so I can tell you who picked who. But I can't remember. So I'll do it. I'll guess it. Anthony picked MJF because he's so far up Tony Khan's ass. He's hearing out of his mouth. Me and Dan picked LA Knight because we're the cool kids. Sam picked Cody because
I think I picked LA Knight.
You haven't got one right yet.
That's amazing.
And Andy, who's the only person here with any ounce of integrity, picked Jey Uso, who's actually a fantastic shout for this face of 2023. And now that I'm thinking about it, I probably should have picked Jey Uso, but there we are. I don't know.
I'm going to run it down. You actually picked Jey Uso yourself, Dom.
Yes! 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 I have so much integrity! Amazing!
So
go me! Yeah.
Anne picked LA Knight. Jey Uso. Sam picked LA Knight. Andy picked Cody. And I threw in MJF.
Ooh.
So I'll work down the list and I'll start with myself and I'll go down each person in the list of why we've picked him. So I picked MJF because we know he is such a good heel, but some of the stuff that he's been doing, especially with Adam Cole, has been so entertaining. And you know the heel turn or the return to heel is right there. But he's probably, I think, the most over thing in WWE and AEW at the minute. It's so much fun, and the pops that he's getting is amazing.
Yeah, I can't disagree with any of that.
Down to yourself, Sam.
Mate, go on, sorry, mate, go on.
No, I think it's interesting because is he face or not? Who the hell knows what he is? It's an interesting story that's kind of taken over the bloodline for me. It's like the bloodline just feels like it's gone on so long, and with MJF, it feels like we don't know where it's going, and it's leaving people guessing each week. I think we all expected it to end at All In, and it hasn't. And actually, it's created a lot of intrigue and mystery. I think MJF is a good shout. I'd thought about putting MJF.
I think for me, it's a case of would I be heartbroken if Adam Cole turns out to be the devil and turns on MJF? And the answer to that question is yes. I will be heartbroken. And I think they're going down the Britt Baker route. I think, and if that is true, they might as well be Cole, and I'm going to be heartbroken. And as far as I'm concerned, that makes MJF the biggest babyface in wrestling, other than maybe like LA Knight and maybe Cody and Jay as well. You know, I think all four of them are really good shouts.
Yeah, that's a good bit. Yeah, good thing.
So what do you think, LA Knight, then, Sam?
Well, I think at this moment in time, I didn't quite have the confidence to put MJF. Where LA Knight he's not the guy WWE chose. He's the guy the fans have chose. He was never meant to be in this position. You know, they wanted us all to be right behind Cody and then Seth and maybe Punk and Jey Uso, but LA Knight has just come out of the slow lane, the fast lane, and they've gone, oh wow. Because WWE has this problem with people getting over organically. It has to be whoever they've decided. And I think Triple H is now leaning into that a little bit more, leaning into the fans a bit more, because Vince just would refuse to until he had to, like with Kofi, with Mustafa Ali, with Daniel Bryan, with Punk. And I think Triple H is not looking a gift horse in the mouth. LA Knight is over. He might not be over forever, but the time is to capitalize. And so for me, right now, with LA Knight, because of that, because he's the guy the fans have chose, in a way, he's more over than anybody put together. And I think every time, the same with Sami Zayn last year. It's the fans who book this low key sometimes, and it's lovely when they lean into it. They can't do it all the time, but it's nice when they acknowledge us. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I was so close to putting LA Knight. I was so close to changing my answers last minute to LA Knight, because it's just the pops that he's been getting on a regular basis have been some of the loudest, I think, in a long while. But you've said your argument. I'm going to let Ant have his side of LA Knight. Go for it.
Yeah, I think Sam covered a lot of it. I think it's a guy that the fans got behind. It's not someone I'm particularly interested in, but I see that the fans are behind him. And the difference between this and something like Rusev, which happened a couple of years ago, is that the company's also getting behind him in the right way. And I feel like Cody's got a bit stale. I kind of expected that to happen. I think his Brock feud was quite stale. I think that LA Knight has that mix of fan reaction, but also the company pushing him, but not like right to the top, because it doesn't have to be right to the top. Whenever LA Knight comes out, he's not divisive. He gets a from everyone, and so that's the reason I think he's the face of 2023 and doing some incredible work.
Yeah, I don't think we've heard any boos for LA Knight since the start of the year when he was getting himself massively over.
Yeah,
I think it was I know there was reasons behind it, but it was a big mistake not seeing him at all over WrestleMania weekend. We didn't see him on SmackDown either night of WrestleMania or the Monday Night Raw.
Madness, wasn't it? Madness.
And it was absolutely crazy not to see someone that was that over and not get a showcase on the showcase of the Immortals.
And just so you know, guys, as well, sorry to jump in there, Dan, but with like the crew here, all of us were at WrestleMania together, and we couldn't move for shouts of "yeah" in LA all weekend. Even when we weren't near the stadium, when we were out like in the restaurants, there was still the occasional person doing it. So NXT, it's all you could hear, because it was a few hours after SmackDown. We'd just been to bed, got out of bed, gone straight back to NXT. All we could hear in that room, Anthony, it was yeah, it was just all over the place. And they didn't book him for Mania. What the hell?
Yeah. There was rumors who was meant to be doing something with Bobby Lashley,
yes.
But things obviously got a little bit scrapped. But we're going to throw it down to Dom explaining why Jey Uso is the face of 2023.
Yeet! No, it's not that. That's very well over, but it's not that. I just think his bloodline work was incredible. I feel sad for Jay. I think, feel sad for Jimmy rather. I think Jimmy, has drawn the short straw over on Raw from what I've seen. I think that Or is he SmackDown? No, he's SmackDown, isn't he? As you can tell, I've not been as in-depth on the product, but Jay has done some incredible work teaming with Cody Rhodes, winning gold there, alongside the Bloodline stuff, which obviously we were talking about over WrestleMania weekend and before. And then since then, he's proven himself to be a main eventer. And I think that is why, and I talk about this a lot. You look at MJF, and absolutely MJF is up there. LA Knight, absolutely up there. But if you're talking about, and I say this, that with that meme in mind, like obviously my age, when I'm like, when I say he's down with the kids, I hope
Pepperidge
you know what
Farm remembers.
I hope you know what I mean. Like LA Knight is the people's champion of the Monday. MJF is the face of wrestling, will be the face of wrestling for the next 10 years probably. But if you're looking at someone who is popular with the kids, who has the right catchphrase, who has the merchandise, who looks cool, Jey Uso is that. And for me, as someone that's gone, LA Knight has been a singles guy the whole time. MJF has been world champion the whole time. Cody was kind of pedestaled quite literally from day one in WWE, whereas Jey Uso was a tag team guy. Who was a big component of one of the greatest storylines of the last decade plus in wrestling as a tag team, has gone on to become a not just a singles guy, but a single star with all this every arena that you go in, everybody's doing it, everybody's chanting yeet. I mean, it's been a roller coaster year. So if I'm talking about a 2023 specific, face of 2023 as we go into 2024, I for me, there's no more exciting and no more over person than Jey Uso, and I say that with all confidence, reflecting on LA Knight and how over LA Knight is. I believe Jey Uso is now a fraction more over than LA Knight at this time, December 2023, way more over than Cody, and that again, Cody's the sort of stereotypical baby face, and that's cool, but Jey Uso's got the vibe, he's got the edge that I think makes him relatable to the young'uns, and I think that's important. When you're selling, loads and loads of Yeet t-shirts, that's good business.
Now they're allowed to again.
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking at it from a whole standpoint, from a marketing standpoint, from a looking at the crowds, the catchphrase, all of it. And I think where he's come from to where he is now as a credible, I would say it's not beyond the realms of possibility to see him with at least one world title reign before the end of his career. Now, but we wouldn't have been saying that at the beginning of the year. So, and I think that's, I'm not sure I can say that for LA Knight, even though I want to. And Cody by design will have one because WWE paid millions of pounds for him to have one. MJF is already. So for me, it's Jey Uso for sure.
Ooh, solid argument.
Yeah, I mean, you can't really argue with any of the points. The reactions that he's getting when he came out on Monday Night Raw was some of the loudest cheers, and it reminds me in a big way of Daniel Bryan and the Yes Movement. That's the sort of reactions that he seems to be getting right now.
Absolutely. Yep.
Sami Zayn last year. That's my only concern with it. These things come, they hit really, really fast, and then they kind of peter off a little bit once they get what they want, which is the worry for Cody as well. It's my worry for Jey Uso and for LA Knight, where for MJF, I think he's laid it quite well because of the whole bad guy trying to do the right thing. But anyway, over to you, Dan. I'll let you're the master of ceremonies.
For a change.
I know.
So we've got Cody, and Andy's going to give a very solid argument. I know you are, for Cody.
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I don't think there's been enough respect put on Cody's name as a babyface in this chat so far, because when you look at the title of this award, it's Face of 2023. Well, to me, you've got two tweeners and someone who spent half the year as a bad guy anyway in Jey Uso. So if you're looking at someone who's actually throughout the entirety of 2023 been a face, not just a face, he's been a baby face, which is very rare that you see them in wrestling be able to sustain that. Cody has done a fantastic job. I don't even think to a degree he's even got stale. I think he's just people are kind of diluting that with the fact that Roman's not been around and putting that people are waiting for that to happen. And unfortunately, he's kind of like a victim of circumstance that he's tied very closely to Roman. And because he hasn't been there, and people want that rematch and they want Cody to finish the story, as we keep hearing, he's kind of getting, I guess, like hit over the head with that a little bit. But in terms of when I think of a face, you see his entrance, you see people joining in with his theme, you see him giving out his weight belt to the kids. That's the stuff that faces do. That is a face to me. And he's maintained that throughout the entire year. MJ, I'm not going to like kind of talk smack about anyone. LA Knight got over, but he started the year as the heel against Bray Wyatt. Jey Uso spent the entirety of WrestleMania season being the biggest bad guy as part of the bloodline and he had to kind of put over the faces of Kevin Owens, who I'd argue has probably got a place on this list somewhere, with Sami Zayn, who's also got a place on this list somewhere. And he was the heel in that. So I couldn't say in all faith that Jey Uso was a face of 2023, maybe part of it, but only recently. And MJF, I would argue, was a tweener because he, as I think Anth or Salmon said, he's going to turn at some point back to being the proper like douchebag that he's always been. And that doesn't make him any less of a sort of like good guy at the moment. It just doesn't make him a face. So for me, Cody's done a great job of sustaining in 2023, where people get very bored of the good guy. We've seen what happened to John Cena, etc. But I think people are still in Cody's corner, and that's a really weird thing to happen in wrestling. I think people don't normally stick around that long and want and root for a face. So that would be my argument for Cody.
Again, very solid argument. I look back at Money in the Bank, and I don't want to say it just because it was the UK crowd, but we sang our hearts out as he made his entrance for Money in the Bank. It was, I think, the loudest I've ever heard a crowd sing for any wrestling show. He got quite a loud world chant at WrestleMania Backlash in Puerto Rico, but overall for the full year, the best entrance I think was Cody at Money in the Bank, because that crowd was super hot for him. So yeah, every single one of you have made absolutely brilliant argument for the person that he chose. I did put a poll onto the YouTube community to try and give us some sort of reasonable argument.
Who won? How exciting!
So as of right now, Jey Uso's got 9%, Cody 18%, MJF with 27%, so 45%. As I'm ending that poll, goes to LA Knight. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
go for it.
I do get Andy's point about how long he's been a face. I think as soon as the Royal Rumble had happened in January, you had until early April for WrestleMania, and I think he was faced by then. So I would say he's kind of been there for a year. And has been way more over than Yeet, but I've not really watched WWE for a while. But was as over as Yeet a while ago. So it makes sense that the Gimme Hoya community would stick with Ant and choose Ant to pick. Thank you very much, everyone. Peace. Staffy did also really good comment about Orange Cassidy, and I think that there's an excellent.
What I was going to say. Orange Cassidy doing amazing work. What's it called now? Because I know it was the International Championship. What's it now, Ant?
I have no idea. There's too many champions in AEW.
Yeah, they're making another one. There's another one.
There's another one.
Hell? Yeah. Tony Khan, stop. Stop, dude. Sit down.
I thought you watched this week in, week out, Anthony. You're supposed to know all the 60 championships Tony Khan's got.
I have a list right now. I need a list of championships when I'm.
Do you know, I actually have one. I actually have made one because I was so confused. I promise you, the renaming of the All Atlantic, which is a cracking name, by the way, and they made that the Boring International, and now they're actually making an Intercontinental. Well, hang on, isn't international and Intercontinental just kind of the same thing? I don't get
pretty
it.
much by the sound.
What is going on? Like, they've got the FTW Championship, which is so unique and awesome. Do more with that, and then they've got the Ring of Honor ones popping up every week. It's like, dude, like, this isn't everybody gets a belt. It ain't Sports Day. Anyway, I don't know what's going on. I never got a belt.
Yeah, Mark has just confirmed it is the AEW International Championship. But yeah, we could have had other people on the list: Orange Cassidy, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. It was a hard list to choose from, but our winner for face of 2023, LA Knight. Yeah.
Well done, Maniacs. You all rock. Good choice. Woo!
So we're going to completely flip the script and go from face to heel of 2023.
Yeah,
nope.
baby.
There we go. So we've got 3 names on the list. 2 people picked the same person twice. Well, technically 3 times overall because someone couldn't decide. So we're going to work our way from the bottom to the top because of this reason. So Andy, you've picked Roman Reigns or Dirty Dom. So I want your explanation on both and who are you picking as your final?
Oh, I didn't even remember picking Roman Reigns. Yeah, okay. Dirty Dom is it would be for me. I think there was a moment in LA, and I think having chatted with you guys about it as well, a couple of you felt the same. When he came out for his entrance at WrestleMania, it was the first moment where I went, "Oh shit!" Actually, like I fully believe this guy could be a WWE superstar, and like I buy it. It was such a cool moment. And then the kind of rolling into that on the back of it, he's been getting booed out the building. Yes, I think WWE do play into it a bit with the microphones and whatever, but you know, he is getting that kind of reaction. And we saw it again, and we did see it in London. He does get booed, and he's very good at just being that slimy little shitbag that you do want to like get kicked out. Like, you know, and again, for me, that's what a heel should be. It's very old school and very easy, like cheap heat that he gets a lot of the time. And it's kind of one of those things where he is lucky that the fans are going to being a bit sheepish about it. Like each week they'll do the same thing because it's cool to boo Dom. But his work as a heel is like is second to none for me this year. I do have to admit though, seeing Christian on there, I think he's been fantastic in AEW. But he's kind of a very different heel where he says out of the pocket stuff and he kind of makes you laugh because it's so out of the pocket with the, you know, like all the dad stuff that he does. You know, I think everyone on this list is great, but for me, I just think Dirty Dom, considering his age as well, like he's been a heat magnet this year. So I would just give it to him because this time last year would never ever have thought he would be on in with a shout for any kind of award. But here we are.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot to go through who's picked it all, but I'll just work my way up the list as we're doing it. So for Dom went for Christian. What's your reasoning, Dom?
Yes, I did. Christian
Tony's.
Shut up, Anthony.
Did you just mute him? That's brilliant.
Yeah, no, I picked Christian because I've been watching enough of the product, not being so far up Tony Khan's backside as Anthony. But I've been watching enough of the product to know that Christian has been doing some stellar work in his promos and really reinvented himself or given himself another lease of life, much like he did when he first went to TNA back in the day. And kind of reinvented himself. Christy Cage, he's done fantastic. I think Dirty Dom is I mean, again, like Andy said, there's no way we'd have been saying Dominic Mysterio would be up for any awards a year ago. And here we are. So Dom is absolutely a great runner-up for me on this. Roman, you know, is credible in third place as well. But I think Christian has just done fantastic work as a heel. Some of the stuff he says and gets away with saying must only be because he's a legend. Because, I don't know anybody else that would get away with that on television. But just really funny, inappropriate dad stuff, you know, and which is a weird way of describing it. I'm aware, but yeah,
that's why I was laughing.
But weird, inappropriate dad stuff. That's all. That's Christian's gimmick. But yeah, and also, you know, he's elevated Lucha. You know, he elevated Luchasaurus, elevated Nick Wayne, and I think absolutely Christian for me. It's undeniable It's undeniable. Christian is the heel of 2023. I don't think there is an argument, but very credible runners-up in day, Dom and Roman Reigns.
Yeah, I'm going to see what Ant says because Ant picked Christian as well. So go for it, Ant. What do you think?
Yeah, I think he's created a gimmick that is so on the edge, and it works for everyone. It works for the people who are not interested in YouTube, who don't follow everything, who don't know whose dad is related to who. It works for the fans that know that Edge hasn't spoken to his father, blah, 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 since a kid, because we are just waiting for that moment where Christian says, I'll be your daddy. And actually, it's ironic because you've got Christian, who's the current daddy of everyone, and you've got Dirty Dom, who's the son of Rey Mysterio. So we're quite both very interesting gimmicks. Dom has come up around. Roman Reigns has been sort of given the easy road, I guess, by WWE, and I think he's top heel because I don't know if it's because of his work or because of his status within the company, because he hasn't done a lot, and I think Paul Heyman does a lot for him. I'm always quite critical on Roman Reigns for that reason, but Christian has created this really unique gimmick that works on so many levels, so that's why I chose Daddy Christian.
Yeah, again, a lot of the same arguments and points as Dom, doing absolutely amazing work. Sam has gone for Roman outright, so let's say the argument, Sam.
Right. So with Roman, Your Honor, when it comes to Dirty Dom and Christian, I feel like I'm loving it. Like, again, I've been in the room where the audience have booed Dom and Christian in the stadium. I've been in the room, and I know you guys have too. And it's panto. It's awesome panto, but it's panto. It's like, yeah, they're saying some dark stuff, but with Roman, it is a genuine dislike built on years and years and years of WWE shoving him down our throats, only for them to realize, hang on, this guy's better as a heel, and then for them to book one of the most heat-generating but also awesome championship reigns of all time. I don't know anybody who wants Roman to carry on holding that belt, and not from a go-away heat point of view, but from this is a guy whose comeuppance is so overdue, it is unreal. Christian and Dom get the comeuppance every week, I feel like. Something happens for them to be a lesson to be taught to them, like Vince McMahon in the Attitude Era would come up with a dastardly plan, and by the end of the episode, Stone Cold was stunnering him. I feel like that's where we are with Christian and Dom, and it's quite predictable that Rey Mysterio is going to finally give Dom the spanking he should have years ago, and Edge is going to kick the living. Adam Copeland is going to kick the crap out of Christian. That is where I am with that. Where Roman, the bruising that he's cruising for is now so profound. When it happens, it's going to burn down a stadium, and so for me, like, yes, Dom and Christian are wonderful. They're both fantastic at what they do. And you're absolutely right, Andy. That moment at Mania, I was so happy for him. I was like, this guy has arrived. This is special now. Christian's always been special. But I think he just exists to be a foil for Edge. With Roman, I genuinely believe this is going to go down in history as one of the great heel runs and one of the great examples in wrestling, in storytelling, of good finally overcoming evil. You know, like we all were in the room and we felt the disappointment when Cody lost at Mania, and we did. Apart from man, we were all quite deflated.
Yeah.
But for a little bit, a few beers and a steak fixed us up. But yeah, I think it'll be so cathartic when Roman loses. I'm just going to be like, this was one of the greatest heel runs I of all time, and that is why I felt like I sell out a little bit when I picked Roman. But when I was honest with myself, yeah, it was him.
Yeah, I mean, we've watched Roman hold the title for I think too long is the right phrase to go for, because I can't remember how many days. We did speak about it last week, me and Andy, over on Wrestling Royalty. this year, Roman has had 11 matches in total.
That plays into it, Dan, as well. It's like, don't get me wrong. Like, don't get me wrong. Is it getting a bit awkward now? Should he turn up more? Yes, absolutely. It's getting hard to defend. But at the same time, it's having the champion refuse to show up and only show
a heel move.
It's a heel move, and it makes, again, value follows scarcity. So it does have that going for it. Now, you can go too far with that. Eventually, you are taking the piss. Brock Lesnar did it as well. And I get there are genuine, real life reasons why that is. The guy is a cancer survivor 3 times now. There's a lot he has to do health wise. The pandemic was risky for him. Like the Usos, in reality, were quite worried for him during the COVID pandemic, and they got quite upset with people, even their own family members, when people weren't getting vaccinated and stuff like that because they love their cousin. So, like, I get Roman's health is an issue, but the guy's fantastic. Like, there's a TikTok going around of him being rude to a fan, and he's so good. It's such a great moment. It's complete panto, and he plays it so straight. The guy, I think Roman Reigns gets so much hate, some of it heel heat, some of it genuine heat. But I think we sometimes need to just take a moment, sit back and look at this guy and realize what a star he actually is. And how good this guy really is. Like, does he kind of do the same match every time? Was Anthony right about that? I disagreed with him at Mania. I'm finding it hard to argue with that now. But I tell you what, every single one catches my attention. Every single one keeps me invested. And I don't know if there's anybody else who can actually say that. And I've spoken for too long. Over to you.
Okay. For me, my pick for the year was Dirty Dom. Just because from all the way from, when was it? Clash at the Castle last year, the heat that he had after kicking Edge between the legs and turning on his dad, that was a great build, but we all thought, it's Dom Mysterio, he's not that great in the ring. But you'll look at what he's doing now. He's held the North American Championship, and he's had a good run with it. He's defended it quite a few times. He has ended up losing it now. But you'll look at the reaction that he gets from every single arena that he walks in, and I think half of this has to go to Rhea Ripley if Dom ends up winning, because you'll look at the team of them together. I don't think it would have been as successful if it was just Dom on his own. He's had the support there, and this is, to me, how you should build Dom Mysterio into being almost a main eventer for me. You've got Balor, you've got Priest. They can take hold of the tag division side of things. You've got Rhea on the women's side, and Dom Mysterio, after holding a NXT technically mid-card title, building him up and just keeping that heat on him. I would have him I don't know, but I keep thinking in my mind, take the IC title off Gunther. That, to me, would generate unbelievable heat. I know it won't happen, but that's just what...
That's great.
I just think it'd be crazy. It'd be such a crazy decision, and not a single person would expect it coming. But that's why I think it'd be amazing. But as a faction, Judgment Day, I think, have made the Dirty Dom character a lot bigger than it would have been if it was just him on his own. So I think the reactions that Dom gets from every single person, you just want to see him get punched in the face, and most of the time you want to do it yourself. That's why I think Dom is the heel of 2023. If I go over to the YouTube poll, it is such a close call. 20% are thinking Roman Reigns. 40% is tied with Christian and Dirty Dom. So this one is such a close one to call. That's why it's such a good year, because one vote could throw it into a three-way tie. We've had Sassy put in Matt Cardona, best heel in wrestling. Is a heel in every promotion. We could have had someone like him on the list.
Total babyface on Twitter. Total babyface on Twitter.
I love Matt Cardona on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely
he's so
brilliant.
funny.
Yeah,
he's fantastic. He is great. I've spoken to Matt a couple of times. He's very, very good at playing the heel, even if he's not wrestling.
He's so good. He's just brilliant. He is absolute star.
So we've had a final vote. So I'm going to end the poll.
Speaking of heels, by the way, is Dom currently on his YouTube channels voting for Christian to win?
Probably.
Oh look, there's. Oh look, WrestleSphere voted. Soundsphere voted.
I didn't vote. No, Soundsphere didn't vote. WrestleSphere didn't vote.
Demolish. Who are they?
Christian ended up getting the win on heel of 2023, which, I mean, I don't think you can argue with it. That photo that we've got of him says it all.
So voted. You can see it.
I'm looking at the AEW press release for World's End. Shut up. I'm not voting.
Okay.
Yeah, man. Oh yeah, we should do something about that in the morning. But can we even be asked?
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's fine. Yeah. No, I haven't voted for myself.
Either 2023 goes to Diva Dom, not Dirty Dom.
Yeah,
100%.
I can't wait to watch this back. That opening 20 minutes, absolutely marvelous.
It's going to be clipped, I think, on its own.
Yes.
So we've got Dirty Dom. So if we're going Dirty Dom, we're having gimmicks. So gimmick of 2023. It was a mixed bag this year. There is some brilliant characters in there.
Who put Alpha Academy in there?
I was thinking that.
I mean, the best thing about Alpha Academy is Tozawa.
Oh no, he's the worst.
Why you? I realized. I was like, Andy, why are you telling me to shush? And then I realized I was like,
I'm not saying
someone needs to.
I'm saying shush.
That's the thing here. That is the thing. Of course, that's the thing. Shush. Yeah, Alpha Academy are great, but they're not the gimmick of 2023.
So I'll start it off with yourself then, Dom. You've put Christian for this one as well. So why do you think Christian was the gimmick of 2023?
I don't know. In a year where like I wasn't that sold on wrestling in general, Christian was the most entertaining thing, and it is a gimmick because Christian's not going to go around to the supermarket telling some random kid that he's his dad, is he? You know, it's definitely a gimmick. It's not, it's not what I imagine Christian is like as a human being. Going around shouting at people. So yeah, I think it's great, and I think the yeah thing was cool, but it's not really a gimmick, is it? He just says yeah. MJF, I don't know. He's kind of funny. He's a very talented wrestler. The closest one is Tony Storm. That was entertaining. The Tony Storm stuff's been good. But MJF's been doing MJF things for 3-4 years. Alpha Academy, the same thing. It's been ages. And if I really break it down on a gimmick level, LA Knight's thing is just saying yeah, and calling himself a megastar and wearing some funky shades. Whereas Christian has actually had to think, I'm going to go out and be a dick today. I'm going to insult this guy's dead parent, and I'm going to be a knobhead. And I wouldn't say what I actually wanted to say because we'd get banned off YouTube. But the point is that
we're already not getting paid for this, mate.
Christian's gimmick is a gimmick. LA Knights is one word, which isn't enough to call it a gimmick, I don't think. Alpha Academy, it's funny, but it's not the gimmick of the year. I'd put R-Truth since his return over Alpha Academy. MJF, it's just the same thing he's been doing for years, whereas Christian's really reinvented himself for this. But the Tony Storm stuff, absolutely, I can see why that's in the conversation and is a close second for me. But yeah, Christian, absolutely, 100%.
Okay. Very, very heated from Dom. I'm going to throw it up to Sam. Sam picked Tony Storm. So in Dom's mind, Tony's the runner-up. How are you going to fight that?
Well, before I do, Dan, I'd like to say, guys, do check out Dom's interview with LA Knight over on WrestleSphere. The working day never ends.
Yeah!
Yeah, and the cameraman was especially handsome.
Yes, the cameraman was great.
And Andy as well, especially handsome. But yeah, with Tony Storm, I just like of all, like, I love AEW, I do, but I do have a bit of a love-hate relationship sometimes. But this whole Tony Storm thing, this whole washed-up 1940s actress gimmick they're doing, the timeless gimmick, I think is absolutely genius. And every time she's on screen for one of these segments where she's bullying, I forgot his name, RJ City or whoever else, and some of the it's got very meta as well with some of the references to Sky Blue's bottom, to quote, and things like that. I just think it's genius. It's really funny. It's very leveled, very layered, very deep. I don't know where it's going to go forever, but like, this is a world apart from her. Look at me, I'm a punk chick with something on my face in NXT UK. This is something that's going to define her career. She was so crazy. She out crazied the crazies in Saraya and stuff like that.
The only thing, and I'm sorry to stop you there, Sam, I do apologize, but the only thing I would say, and it's only just come to me while you've been talking about this, Chelsea Green did this better in TNA.
Well, yeah, but I think there were subtle differences. I know what you mean.
I know, and the general thing, okay, yes, it's that one was a crazy bride, one was an actress.
Yeah,
an actress was, but the basic premise is the same thing.
Crazy Woman has been done a million times in wrestling, and I like because I don't know if I'd compare those two gimmicks, because one was she was a crazy bride, and the very first All In, by the way, where she was kind of half the recovering Chelsea Green, other half the psycho bride, hot mess with it taking over her body. That was brilliant, by the way. And I, say what you want about sports-based wrestling. I'm all about those funny gimmicks. But what I like about this, Dom, and what's different from that, is it's the old-timey cinema thing. And it's hard to have an appreciation for that unless you're a colossal geek like me and you enjoy that old cinema and you know something about that old Hollywood culture and how they used to be, and how mad and cocaine-fueled it was. And Toni Storm has clearly done her research, and it's a very bold gimmick as well. And in this audience, in this Gen Z era, it could have completely flopped, and it's not. I think it was a bit too soon for her to win a championship. I think she should have been a foil for a much longer time. It would have made it better. But I just think she's brilliant, and she even looks a little bit like Marilyn Monroe. And some of the references she's made in her promos have been very clever. As well, and I think a lot of it will go over the average wrestling fan's head. No disrespect to my fellow wrestling fans, it's just it's clear that the people writing this or her have done their research about this stuff. And I don't know, like with MJF, I still don't know if it's a gimmick or if it's just a storyline. I agree with Dom about LA Knight. I think that LA Knight is absolutely fantastic. Alpha Academy can, I don't know, go to France or something. And Christian, I love Christian, but it's just, for me, it's just panto. I feel like he's the bad guy we're meant to hate, and it feels a little bit. The whole thing with Christian thing, it all feels a little bit forced and formulaic to me. So I'm not fully on board with it yet. I think he's great. He's the right guy to do it, but it feels a little bit. Now he's saying that for shock value. Where I think with Toni Storm, it's so abstract, it's so unique, it's so fresh. Yes, we can compare it to a couple of other things that have gone before, but never quite this. And I didn't think I'd be putting Toni Storm in this list when I had to actually think about it. And I thought, who's the one person? Yeah, it's her. And it's nice to have some female representation on this as well.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to throw it down to Alpha Academy because it seems to be getting a lot of hate as a gimmick at the minute. So, Andy, what are your thoughts on Alpha Academy?
Oh, look at me. My name's Sam. I'm really highbrow. That's why I vote for Toni Storm.
Hey, I'll tell you now, it's exhausting being this highbrow. It's exhausting. Anyway,
I just voted for Alpha Academy because I wanted to have a sort of a bit of a left-wing...
You wanted to be contrary, didn't you? You wanted to be contrary, mate. Andy.
A little bit. I mean, to be honest, though, when you look at Alpha Academy, they don't do anything like ridiculous or anything like that, but they just embody who they're supposed to be. When you are building a roster of talent, you would want your kind of your heels, your faces, and whatever, but you also want a bit of a silly gimmick that the kids can kind of like laugh at and be into. And that's not an easy gig because it can get old very quickly. But I think when you look at it from the perspective that both of the people who were originally in Alpha Academy, in Chad Gable and Otis, they've had different tag teams. Both those tag teams were quite over at one point or another, whether it be on NXT or on the main roster. Then they kind of got thrown together a little bit. But these guys especially in 2023, they've actually been a glue throughout the entire year on Raw. And Dan, you would know more than anyone because you watch it. They're often featured. And you've also seen the fact that you've got Chad Gable has done some sterling work this year as the kind of coach. They've got a catchphrase in the shoosh thing, and I think often when you have a gimmick, you need a catchphrase, you need T-shirts. Then they've thrown in Maxine as well, who like is giving it like a breath of fresh air into it. The Tozawa stuff, personally, I could take or leave it. I'm not a big fan of it. I think it's a little bit too silly for my liking, but again, it gets the laughs, it pops the crowd occasionally. But they also seem to have this thing where like Chad Gable just wants to see good wrestling and be a good coach. And there's a few of those throughout wrestling, but they've been in the corner of the Creed brothers and they're kind of elevating them a little bit. When they're in, you're going to get a solid match. These are guys that just throw them out there, any tag team match, and they'll do the job for you, no complaints. And the crowd will get into it, seeing, what is it they call it? Is it the caterpillar rather than the worm?
Yes.
And that sort of stuff. And I think that's the stuff where you look at gimmicks and you go, that's for the kids. But, that's what wrestling needs. I think they're the audience who are going to really kind of be the future of it. And Alpha Academy are very good at doing it. But yeah, or go be all like, yeah, look at me, Toni Storm's great, and she does this like Marilyn Monroe Hollywood thing, cool.
Right, okay, I'm going to defend Alpha Academy now, and not because I need to, but when I was at the house show in Liverpool, just before, a few days before Money in the Bank, what a week, Alpha Academy came out and got booed as heels because WWE was still in the process of turning them. And they worked, like Gable worked an amazing match, and they worked as baby faces. And you could tell they were trying to get the crowd on board with them as faces. So Imperium were absolute dicks to try and really get that across. And they genuinely did. Like, but they came out to boos. They went out to raucous cheers. And I remember thinking to myself at the time, that is how you do it. Again, I think they've got the best gimmick? Nah, not at all. But do I think they're both fantastic at what they do? Yeah, and I do think adding Maxine Dupri to the equation has really has kind of given it that next level. Again, I'm not with the Tozawa thing. He can go to France on his own, but the rest.
No. Tozawa is the best thing about it. Can we just have how long has Tozawa had a job for in WWE?
I'd rather he went back to Ninja Power at this point, mate.
Listen.
It doesn't matter how long you've been there. You can sit.
Yeah, but he's kept his job. He's kept his job, and he's funny as anything when he's on screen.
Congratulations on keeping your job.
Yeah, it's like our truth. It's like our truth, man.
I've been made redundant 3 times. I don't know.
Well, exactly. Our truth's a national treasure, right? Tozawa is the funniest thing, except for our truth WWE has. Tozawa is the most over thing about Alpha Academy, right? Yeah, thank you. Michael says Tozawa's the best thing on WWE. He's great.
Bad Michael. I'm joking.
But we're sat here talking about how good Alpha Academy is. This is evidence that like Tozawa's doing his job. We're sat here talking about it. He's still got his job where he's making, thousands and thousands of dollars a year, and we're sat here at midnight, 11 minutes past midnight on Saturday the 23rd of December talking about wrestling on a podcast, right? Tozawa's winning at life. Tozawa is winning at life. He still has his job. He is the most entertaining thing in Alpha Academy.
He still has his job.
But before Ant has his say, by the way, can I just say, just if I really wanted to get under the skin of Sam, I will just say, do you know who else deserves a shot on this list? Chase U.
Yes, absolutely. I'll put Chase you on here over Alpha
Right,
Academy.
guys, I'm going for a wee and a beer. You discuss.
No,
your
you can't hack
bullshit.
it. You can't hack it, can you?
I need a wee, and I've run out of beer.
Your bladder's going, is it? All right, okay, yeah, whatever.
Put beer all over your desk.
Yeah.
I will return shortly.
Pouring beer on your desk, your computer can't work. Okay,
it's like a crap version of Stone Cold Steve Austin. Oh, I'm going to pour a couple of stubbies over the keyboard.
I've lost my argument. Okay, yeah.
So I'll throw it over to Ant now. Ant said MJF, so go for it.
I'm not just going to put down everyone like you guys.
How's Tony Khan's bumhole taste, Anthony?
So here, I nearly picked Tony Storm. The reason I didn't go for Tony Storm was just that it's 2023 and she's only been post All In. Timeless Tony Storm, really. MJF has had a real character development throughout the year, done so many different things. I think we're seeing a really interesting side to his gimmick. Whether he's being real, whether he's being false, we don't really know. And that's what really engages me. And I think that he's done such a good job at that. And that's why I think the gimmick of 2023 is MJF, personally.
Very balanced argument there for a change from someone.
Thanks, man.
No, it's because it's the only show he watches.
Look, I'm saying Tony Storm. Look, you chose Christian. I can say Christian. It doesn't have the depth of MJF, and I can't argue against Alpha Academy because I wouldn't bother watching Out the Ring. I'd just fast forward. Look, if you find entertainment in that, I think that's a great pick, Andy. If you find entertainment in that, that's cool. And LA Knight, he's like I say, I voted him for Face of the Year because he's got himself over. But in terms of gimmick of the entire year, I think MJF has had a legendary year. I really do.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to put my argument forward for LA Knight now. I was debating pretty much everyone on this list. And as Andy said, I am the Monday Night Raw connoisseur, if you want. And for me, one of my favorite segments every week is the Alpha Academy segments, whether it is Chad Gable in a match because he puts on an amazing work in the ring, whether it's a backstage interview, whether it's a backstage segment with just Alpha Academy. They are always entertaining every single week. And it's a great gimmick because it's got a reason behind it. Chad Gable wants to be the best wrestling coach on the planet. And the gimmick is that is what he wants to be doing. Being able to take Otis under his wing, then Maxine Dupree, and now adding Tozawa on there. The only way it could be better for me is adding R-Truth, but he's now part of the Judgment Day. So I think Alpha Academy was my number 2 pick overall. But I've gone for LA Knight. I think at the start of the year, it wasn't really much of a gimmick, but now he's got a bit more character work. He had brilliant matches overall. But I just think that LA Knight's gimmick has made his character. You can argue the same for everyone on the list. MJF has had a big character shift. Tony Storm has had a big character change. Christian has just been an absolute dick all year. But out of all of them, I don't know if I would probably swap my pick if I could from LA Knight to Alpha Academy now because of how much Andy's remind me of how entertaining Alpha Academy are every single week. I can see Dom. I was about to say I can see Dom ready to say something.
No, I would argue with you, but then I don't have to sit through 3 hours of Raw every week. So you.
I don't have to. I choose to for the Gimme a Whole Year Bullamaniacs.
Right here on Gimme a Whole Year every Monday, but the point, more or less every Monday. But the point is that you Yeah, I can't argue with that because you got to sit through 3 hours of it. So if Alpha Academy gives you entertainment, then absolutely. You put forward a better argument to me than I think you put a better argument forward than Andy did there. And Andy's always on top form with his arguments. But yeah, you're the one that has.
Hold on. This is the same person who's not even put Alpha Academy on the effing vote.
No, but me. No, I don't think that. Yeah, I don't think they do. But actually, I feel like maybe they do deserve a spot on there because if they're entertaining Dan enough to want to watch every week for 3 hours and entertaining you, Andy, as a solid wrestling fan who watches, a lot of product and works really hard, writing features, etc. You've got to watch this stuff every week, and you've got to take a real interest in it. So maybe I'm misguided, and Alpha Academy absolutely deserve to be on this because is that not the nature of a gimmick? It's entertaining, right? So yeah, maybe I'm wrong about Alpha Academy.
Michael sorry, Dan. Michael makes a good point about Joe Hendry. I mean, like Joe Hendry is the only wrestler this year who's made my wife walk around the house going, "I believe in Joe Hendry." She has no idea where she got that thing in her head from. Absolutely no idea. But she's walking around the house doing that. And I went, "Oh, did you like the TNA show that much?" And she's like, "What?" So there you go. Sorry, mate, you were saying. I
was just going to say that on the YouTube polls, you're only allowed 4 votes. And after the original sort of segment, Alpha Academy was the one that was least wanted. So I went with the 4 top picks. So that is the reason that Alpha Academy was not put on the YouTube poll.
Look at his face.
Confirm, Andrew. That is 0 votes for Andrew, 0 votes for Andrew.
Who's highbrow now, bitch?
What I'm going to do is, as of right now, we've got a tie for Christian and LA Knight on 17%, and then also another tie for MJF and Tony Storm at 33%.
Oh, how has that happened? Dom, go and vote with your things.
I've ended it already, don't worry.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
So,
Bants.
I'm just going to do the final gimmick of 2023. And I'm just going to put the 3 that we could have had. So, MJF, Tony Storm, and I'm going to add Alpha Academy in there.
I'll don't do anyone any favors, mate.
I think they are great. Don't get me wrong. I do think they're great. But I mean,
so while we're going to do that, we're going to leave that going for a couple of minutes while we get and Cinnamon Challenge.
Yeah,
cinnamon.
In a bit's time.
Welcome to intermission.
Oh, is that happening now?
We're going to do it now while we're having that vote.
Right. Cool. Where's Becky? I need to see evidence that you're being watched properly.
There we go.
Where's Becky?
You've not had an adjudicator for this, Dom.
Where's Becky and Paige? I need to see it. Show me the webcam. Show me around the room, please. I need to see they're there. If they're not there, I'm not doing. We're not doing it. He's not going to do it.
When you started talking about Tony Storm, they went to bed. They were tired. They fell asleep.
They said they'd be there, right? Go get them up. Go wake them up.
Jeez, saw it come out of the packet.
Oh, I hear movement down the stairs. Damn, I can't cheat now.
They're watching. They're watching on their eyes.
Paige! Becky! I need your help.
They can't hear you. You can always just mute you. Is Hull that small?
They're not in Hull. Anthony's down south.
Of course he is. Of course.
There we go. We've got an adjudicator.
Hiya, love. Go on. Why is it frozen? It's frozen. Oh, no. He's going to get out of it. He's bloody frozen his screen.
Has he done that deliberately?
He's going to come back and say he's
I don't think he can pause it deliberately.
He's bloody muted himself. What the hell? Oh, his internet went down. How convenient.
Sounds about right.
Hi guys.
It's bad in-
Hi, are we back?
I can hear, but I can't see you.
This wouldn't happen in
I
Beverly.
can't hear you.
What's going on?
If we were in Beverly, it'd work.
Right.
What a
Anthony,
gimmick.
I can't. Where's he gone?
So
hi,
he's gone
Dan.
all together, taking himself
See,
out.
see.
So
Add to
I
stage.
need-
I am.
Oh. I'm gonna call him.
Oh, Dan, you should have been here from the beginning, mate. Who's Beverly? You should have been here at the start, mate. Go back and watch the first 20 minutes of this. You'll learn all about
Chaos.
Beverly and where it is. In Hull.
It is in Hull. Oh,
there we
they are.
go.
Back-
Even
they are
Taylor
back-
says it's suspicious.
I
Hey
was-
up,
I was-
Taylor.
I was gonna call him and make sure he wasn't cheating. Now he's muted himself.
Now he has internet problems. Now he has
Sake.
internet problems. This is I am. I mean Dan. I mean Dom. I mean Jeff. Oh, what's going
So I'll
on?
flick it back to what we've got on there.
Dude, I'm trying to the thingy.
What?
I'm trying to get onto the stream. My internet's gone.
Well, that's not my problem. Get
Convenient. Convenient.
yeah, it's a
Yes.
bit convenient, isn't it?
I'm look. All the kids have woke up from bed. Come and watch me do this shit. Right, I'll be back in a second. Don't call me. I'm trying to log back on. You prick.
We'll wait.
He's coming back.
So while we're waiting for him to come back, I'll cancel and end that poll. So at the minute, Alpha Academy only got 11%, even though people was fighting for them. Tony Storm ended with 33%, and MJF has topped the poll with 56% of the vote.
To confirm, I won again.
Are we back
I just
on?
want to say, Dan, my face isn't on the stream, which means we're going to start hemorrhaging viewers. we're gonna need to fix this.
Where you going?
Are you back on?
Yeah, I'm back on.
Right. Warning, guys, do not try this at home.
Oh, go
Yeah,
on, do
go, I want to see the
Right.
cinnamon.
Hold on.
Oh, there I am.
There
There's
we
the
go.
start.
Do not try this at home, guys. People are watching. It's very dangerous. I
Very
hate
dangerous.
It can coat your lungs.
It can coat your lungs.
Yeah, you didn't care about that when I was doing it.
No, I didn't care about it, but I also didn't. Emma would have warned you about it. She'd have done the research.
I did a bit of research. So do not try this at home, guys. He's an idiot. He's fine. Go ahead.
Big spoonful, Anne. Get lost, Fox. Go on, you can get this.
No, big. That's what you said.
Right.
No.
You said, right.
Just a
Hold
little
on.
bit.
Hold on.
Just a
There's
little
a vote. Take that.
There you go, Foxy.
Hold on, guys.
Make it go for the top.
Why she?
It's
she's
a long
getting-
story, Dan. It's a very long story, mate.
He's doing a cinnamon challenge because I was right about CM Punk, and he made me do one years ago.
Oh, prompt it. No.
Taylor, not
Yeah,
not
there you
sick,
go.
Taylor.
Good.
Yeah.
We
That's a good.
Yeah, I've got a spoon, sweetheart. This is a. This
That's
is
fine.
odd tea.
I think that's a fine amount on the spoon.
Is that okay?
No.
Is that
Oh, yeah,
okay?
that's fine.
That's a good chunk.
fine.
That's what
I'm
you'd
all
put in a
right.
cup of tea if it was sugar, so it's
He's a
fine.
paid professional.
I mean, it's only hot chocolate. It's not really. Right.
Come on. Yes, I've waited for this for years. Come on, get it down
Sure.
here.
Hold it right by carpet.
I'll beat you with this.
Tell us what you're feeling, or try.
Cinnamon challenges, Angie. Was it two?
Oh,
Yeah,
no,
two.
It was
What?
two.
You gotta do two.
Why?
It was
I
two.
did two. I did two.
I'll do one at the end of the stream for everyone.
You bet Dom and you bet Jack, didn't you? Is that two?
Bed. Go to bed.
Anthony, you're spitting in my mouth.
Oh, I can see it in your teeth. Oh,
I said that to him in LA, mate.
Covered in it.
It was
Yeah.
He's telling me off now.
All right. You know what? No, I'll let you off. I will let you off. I did too. I'm just saying. But if you can't hack it, that's fine.
Your pussy-
What?
No.
No, man, you don't have to
Save
do
it
this.
till
You
the
don't,
end.
you don't have to do this, mate.
Oh, his internet went down.
That's convenient.
Right, kids.
Mate, I can't see you. We can't see it. So if you do it, you have to do it again where I can see it. So I wouldn't. Just don't do it.
We'll throw it over while we're waiting for him to come back. So this one should be an interesting one. Rivalry of the year.
I'm back.
I can't see you.
Oh dear. Oh, this is good.
This has been fun already.
I told you it'd go on longer than you thought. Like
I know, but we've still got 4 categories to do in less than 30 minutes.
Yeah,
we can just carry on into SmackDown. Be right.
Okay. So rivalry of the year, we've got Gunther versus Gable, MJF versus Adam Cole, Cody versus Brock, the Usos versus Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, and Dragunov versus Hayes. So I'm going to start off and we're going to go left to right. So Gunther versus Gable was my selection. The reason that I went for that one was I think out of everyone that WWE have had this year, it's the one story where the crowd really got behind someone, wanting someone to finally vanquish the Giant. And even now, everyone says, who do you think should take the title off Gunther? A good majority think it should be Chad Gable because of how good their matches was early this year.
Yeah.
Alpha Academy themselves haven't even really been involved in the matches, so it's not a numbers game. You've had Imperium be involved, and I think they should do a big stipulation, some sort of cage or cell, and give them the one-on-one match they deserve with no interference or anything like that, because I think that should be the way they go. Unless they're wanting to do something with someone completely different to take the title off Gunther, I don't think there's anyone that deserves the title more than Chad Gable.
I mean, it's a compelling argument because Gable has deserved a lot for many, many years. And they did have some banging matches from what I watched back. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely up there. Gunther, the problem is, Gable isn't ever going to be taken as seriously, unfortunately, than The Miz, than there's other challenges, isn't there? Who was the other big one that really gave Gunther a run? Even a Tommaso Ciampa, I would say, is more credible as a challenger than Gable, which is such a shame because Gable's great and they did have banging matches. So if we're talking about a rivalry, a rivalry that stands the test of time, then sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but
No.
yeah, I wouldn't say it's a rivalry that stands up against any of these other ones. But they were great matches, and Gable deserves more.
Okay. While Ant's recovering, I'm going to throw it to Sam to explain why he picked Cody versus Brock.
Right, I'm gonna start this by saying this is the only one of my picks that I was a little bit unsure about. I picked it because it was the first one that jumped into my head. All the others, by the way, I loved. I want to say, and I'm proper Team Gable, by the way, when it comes to this one. I'm not so sure he's the guy who should take it off Gunther, but my God, that's a compelling argument I just heard. I will say that. So with Cody versus Brock, let's go back to the Raw after WrestleMania. Again, boys, we were in the building. We were there. We were already a little bit. Again, we just had one of the greatest weeks of our lives, but we were a little bit deflated from WrestleMania, very exhausted from such a wonderful week being there. And then that happens between Brock and Cody. And we all came out saying, Lovely to be there, but that was a bit of a shit Raw, really, wasn't it? But it's aged a lot better than it initially was because the feud between Brock and Cody wasn't particularly good, but it had a great ending. And for me, I was really, really worried it wasn't going to stick the landing, and then it did, and it exceeded my expectations. Because I wanted to know all the way through this, why the hell has Brock attacked Cody when his stipulation is he can't challenge for the Universal or WWE Championships? Now they're unified, and while Roman holds it, he's completely neutered. He should want someone like Cody to take the belt because then he's freed from that stipulation. So what the hell is he attacking Cody for? And then the final act of that feud was essentially Brock had been punishing Cody for failing at WrestleMania and was attempting to build him up into something more credible to take it off him next time. And I actually thought, now, and I'm not so sure WWE meant for this to end up being good storytelling, but it did end up being good storytelling, even if that was accidental. And I actually kind of came away from that whole thing. And for me, it redeemed that Raw. And for me, it redeemed that decision that was incredibly weird. It was a symptom of Vince coming back that night after the whole Endeavor buyout. And something I thought was going to be a negative memory that might have polluted something amazing turned out to not be that. And so that is why, for me, I'm going with that feud, because for me, it was the most important one this year, because it confirmed to me that my trip away with all of you was one of the greatest trips of my life. So this goes beyond the basics and into that. And that is, and you were there too, Anthony. You can do that all you want. And I've seen you naked and heard you snore. Behave. So yeah, that is why I'm going with that. It's not. What is it? The greatest rivalry of the year? Perhaps not, but it's the most important one to me.
Yeah, great, solid argument. Because of the poll that I've put into the YouTube community, I'm going to throw it over to Ant for MJF and Adam Cole.
Now you can hear me. Hello, everybody. Story time. Nail on, baby. The rivalry of the year. It's hard because they haven't really had a rivalry. They've just had this phenomenal, interesting, multi-layered story that's been doing really well. They did have a rivalry. They had a match on Dynamite. They had a match on All In, obviously the main event of All In. But beyond that, I think that story with Adam Cole has really sort of built up the character of MJF. This devil stuff is intriguing. I don't think it's always played out perfectly, but that's fine. It's wrestling. It's a whodunit. And actually, I think they've got some great potential to who it could be. And I say that, and I bring that up as part of it, is because it could be Adam Cole. It could be MJF. It could be numerous people. And so I think I watch AW every week. That's what's been keeping me really engaged from storyline-wise. I don't think they hit it every week, but I think in terms of the year, they've done a good job of creating MJF's character and cementing his reign as a champion through this.
Yeah, solid argument there again. It's been a funny year for both people in there, MJF and Adam Cole. It's such a shame that Adam Cole has gone out with a big injury, because if he hadn't, do we think he'd have turned on MJF? Do we think MJF might have turned on Adam Cole? Do we know that this devil character would have been played out a lot earlier if MJF and Adam Cole hadn't have had this story? It's such an intriguing character and character arc for both people that it is compelling, and it is a great rivalry, even though we haven't had many instances where they've been going head to head, which is why sometimes some of the best rivalries, you don't need a lot of matches going head to head.
Well, to have an event that's two best friends going at each other and build it up through that, I actually think is a really difficult thing to do in wrestling, and a difficult dynamic to embrace and sell the biggest show that you've ever done. And I think that they successfully did that. And so for me, that's why it is. Sorry to interrupt.
I was going to say, I, in terms of the rivalry, I'm not so sure it's the best rivalry of the year, but for me, it's 100% one of the best stories of the year. Like that, the match they had at Wembley, I loved. I was into every second of it, and it held my attention the second time when I watched it back as well. I asked Dom. Dom even said to me at one point while that match was on, "Mate, I've never seen you be watching something so intently," because our conversation, we've been chatting all the way through it. And he'd been recording me embarrassing myself to Metallica themes, but yeah, I was so into that match. Every moment, hook, line, and sinker. It was one of my favorite matches of the year, and it's because of the two men involved. It's a great story. I can't wait to see where it goes. I think it's going to break my heart because this is wrestling. But yeah, well, I don't know if I don't think mine is any better, but I don't know if it's the best rivalry of the year. But my God, am I invested in the MJF thing? Maybe up there with the Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn storyline. Not quite that high, but it's up there.
Okie dokie. So I'm now going to throw it over to Andy to explain his two selections again: Dragunov versus Hayes, or the Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm going to have to pick the splinters out my arse because apparently I keep sitting on the fence between two on this. So I'll start with the lesser known one, I guess, with the Dragunov versus Hayes, because let's face it, everyone's aware not as many people watch NXT as they do Raw, SmackDown, AEW, etc. Well, actually, these days I'm not sure about AEW versus NXT, but I will say when you look at the Dragunov and Hayes matches that they had and the kind of rivalry in between, it's everything that people wanted NXT to go back to. NXT got stuck really kind of heavily working in bright, vivid characters, whereas Dragunov versus Hayes was a real like turn back to let's concentrate on two guys who are incredible in the ring, but also have very different styles. And to me, I always resonate with rivalries when you see complete like styles clash, where you've got Dragunov, who's this like ultra intense guy who does nothing but just want to kind of like, he just wants to win matches and he wants to absolutely pummel you, whereas Carmelo Hayes wants to look really cool in the ring and everything's like very slick. And those kind of clashes, like those styles just coming together, to me was beautiful. The matches as well, like really told a story of how can we get Carmelo Hayes away from just being like slick and cool and making everything look great. He had to really kind of go down and get a bit like, you know, gritty in those matches. And it showed a different side to him, which really solidified Carmelo Hayes as the future of WWE and one to really watch. And we're seeing that on SmackDown. And we'll see him again tonight on the stream in a little while with Sam as well. I believe he's got a match tonight against Kevin Owens. So it'd be cool to see how he stacks up against that. But in terms of this rivalry, I just thought it was a great one for NXT. You're seeing two guys who are going to go really far in the business, in the industry in general as well. But yeah, just really great for NXT to have those guys there, along with Bron Breakker, who are kind of elevating it up. But I guess the one that's probably, I think it stands a really good chance of winning this rivalry of the year is the Usos versus KO and Sami Zayn. Rewind to April in LA, and how many people were into that match. Like, it's insane. Like the atmosphere around the stadium on night one. And that's another thing, is just to say straight away, the last time a tag team match main evented a night of WrestleMania was WrestleMania 1. Like, that's how far back you've got to go. That's the sterling work that these guys put in as a unit, not just the Usos, not just KO and Sami Zayn. It was this whole storyline, and they needed every single one of them to be on top of their game to be able to claim that. Because if you remember, there was a lot of people saying, oh, who's going to main event? Is it going to be Charlotte and Rhea on night one? And then it came out it was going to be the Usos and KO and Sami. And it made sense because it was on fire. The reactions to everything about it, every single thing in that match meant something. And I think that was just testament to the fact that they had weeks of build. It all kind of flowed nicely together from KO and Sami's own into like personal thing that they had going on, and eventually grabbing it in together and going against the Usos and the Bloodline. It was beautiful. I just don't think you can get much better storytelling this year than those two guys versus the Bloodline. And it was just, to me, perfection in how they pulled it off.
Knackering driving back as well, wasn't it, mate?
Yes. Well, that was the one of Money in the Bank. Not.
Oh, of course. Sorry, yeah. I've had a beer.
So we're going to throw it over to Dom because he has actually got Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn for his selection.
Yeah, solid. I mean, it's been the some of the matches of the year in terms of spectacle, not necessarily in terms of quality wrestling, but in terms of spectacle, in terms of storyline build. It's been what we've all been talking about, and even Anthony as a casual watcher of WWE, and me now as a casual watcher, it's the stuff you automatically tune into, whether that's because of Roman Reigns or because of the dynamics between the two Usos. People were watching it. Sami Zayn, of course, in there. Kevin Owens in there as well, and it was a really, really refreshing, refreshing to see guys like Sami Zayn get pushed into the main event spotlight because of this feud. Like, everybody in here benefited, with exception now perhaps to Jimmy Uso, who kind of just went back to the bloodline. But with this feud, in terms of this context, it was fantastic. I think they knocked it out of the park. They knocked it out of the park, and as Dan says as well, there was some quality wrestling there. Like I say, I prefer Dragunov and Hayes in terms of a wrestling match. But I think, and also, Gunther and Gable as well. But in terms of spectacle, for me personally, the Usos, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, that was beautiful, beautifully done. Some of the best wrestling storytelling I've seen in such a long time. And it's a rivalry that casual fans were talking about, long-time fans were talking about, and still talk about to this day. I think it will go down as some of the best storytelling of the last 10, 15 years. And so it's a solid pick. There's not even a competition for me with any of these. Usually I'm like, yeah, I could see why some of these are up there. But there's no competition for me with the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn.
So, well, we've been sort of chatting. I have put a couple of polls out on the YouTube community. I did semi-finals: Gunther versus Gable, MJF versus Colt, Cody versus Brock as bracket number 1.
Tell me have one.
Pardon?
Tell me I've won again. Go on.
Gunther versus Gable won that one. And then the second bracket was Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn, and then Dragunov versus Hayes. And with that one, the Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn won that one. So at the minute, we've got Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn versus Gunther v Gable for Rivalry of the Year. We've got 5 votes already, and it's a 60-40 split to the Bloodline versus KO and Sami Zayn. So I'm going to give it another minute.
Tom, log on to another account first. He just needs a few seconds.
But he's got him on his phone.
Every single one of them arguments I can completely agree with. I think every single story that we've had this year that we've got on screen for the rivalry have all been compelling from a standpoint from no matter where you are. If you're a big AEW fan, you've probably looked across at the Bloodline and go, that is some epic storytelling. If you've been a WWE fan, you've looked across at the MJF, Adam Cole, and the Devil storyline and thinking, that's brilliant. You want to see more of that. And I couldn't honestly pick a big winner. Once I'd seen all of the entries from your selections, I'd be struggling to pick my winner. My man, Gunther versus Gable, I think has been a great rivalry, but the arguments that you've put have made me doubt my decision a little bit. So that's why we're letting the YouTube community help decide that for us.
Oh, you're good at this, Dan. You're like the next Dimbleby.
So I'm going to end the poll as of right now. We've had 9 votes, and it was a 60-40 split. It has actually extended quite a little bit more. I'm just waiting for it to reload. So we had over 70% of people actually pick the Bloodline versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens for the winner.
Fair.
Which again, I don't think anyone would be disappointed in that.
No.
It was an unbelievable rivalry that started all the way back before the Royal Rumble. We had the Royal Rumble 10 from Sami Zayn, and that just helped build and build and build until main event in WrestleMania. And as I think it was Ant that said, main event in WrestleMania as a tag team is an unbelievable achievement. Women tag, headlined a few years back. So to now have the tag team division on that top pedestal, main event in the biggest show of the year, I think is an epic achievement. And it's a commendment to the work that the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have done this year. So we're going across now.
Well, hold on a second. How's your streak doing, Ant?
Shut up, Andy.
If anyone wants to know, this is what the week in LA was like from start to finish, constantly. It was flipping hilarious. I've broken a funny fuse since coming back. Like, nothing does me like that anymore.
Have we got 2 more categories, Dan?
So we've got the match of 2023, and then we've also got the wrestler of 2023.
Right, let's get through these because we've got about 10 minutes before Sam needs to go and suffer SmackDown.
Speaking of which, it's Christmas and we're all into it. Who wants to join me for a bit of SmackDown? Come on, it'd be fun.
I may do.
Yeah, Dan.
I said may.
Come on.
Dan, where's moment of the year gone?
I actually looked at that. I did actually do the slide because I had some epic photos and I don't know what's happened to it, in all honesty.
Gremlins.
So I'm going to throw that one up as a YouTube community poll at some point.
Sounds good, man. Sounds good.
So match of 2023, there's 4 matches that we've got to choose from. So I'm going to start at the top left. Hangman Page versus Swerve Strickland. That one was Dom's match of the year. So go on. Why do we think that one was match of the year?
I mean, it was just cool. I've never seen Swerve like that. I really became a fan of Swerve when I was watching that back. Obviously, to see him in the Extreme, he'd done some death matches, I think, on the Indies and stuff. But to see that type of match brought into the mainstream effectively, some people said it was too gross. Obviously, the drinking of the blood and all that other stuff. I mean, I just wasn't expecting to see what I saw, and I wasn't expecting to see it from Swerve. And Swerve just completely blew my mind, particularly Hangman. I've never really been that into, but he can really pull out a good match from other people. He's very good. I think he's like a Dolph Ziggler in terms of he can bring out the best in people. I wouldn't necessarily see him as a top guy, unfortunately, but Swerve, man, I think he is the next big thing in AEW, and probably the guy that I would have take the title off MJF, really, if I'm thinking about it. If it's not going to be Adam Cole, which it probably will be now, but Swerve really, and also his Bray Wyatt tribute gear was nice. But then, yeah, I think it was just really, really well done as an Extreme match. I'm a fan of, as Anthony will tell you, and pretty much everybody else knows, I'm a fan of that style of match. It's I don't have to go through it, so it's entertaining for me to watch, and really it was a coming out for Swerve for me as a performer. I now watch his stuff every week as an interested party. I'm like, I'm really interested in his character and his vibe, and I just haven't been. And maybe I wasn't paying attention enough, and I think that's probably what it is. I wasn't giving him enough credit before, but something about this match for me, and the buzz around it from other people before I watched it, because I would have, maybe I'd have written it off as just a bloodbath, but people were like, no, it was a bloodbath and it was a great match. And so I was like, okay, yeah, and I was not disappointed, and I could go back and watch that in the same way that but the same way that a lot of people go back and watch The Undertaker and Mankind, or Cactus Jack and Triple H, the retirement match. I could go back and watch that again and again, and I think I probably will. I think I'll probably do that. you know, because it really, really it got me motivated. It got me motivated to watch wrestling again for a brief period of time. I was really excited about. I'm really excited about Swerve particularly, but I will give credit to Hangman for bringing the best out of Swerve, as he is known to do. Hangman bringing the best out of multiple performers. So yeah, brilliant match, brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Going to the top right, Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay. That one, I'll start with Ant because Ant and Sam both picked that one.
Yeah, it was an outstanding match. It was, I think part one, the first one was slightly better than the second one, but there was some wonderful callbacks in the second one to the first one. And I also think as a regular viewer of AEW, I appreciate seeing a different presentation of wrestling, which is what New Japan offers when the guys go and wrestle there. This match was outstanding. Match of the year. The whole breaking the head through the table spot was just gruesome, and the type of stuff that is hard to explain even as a fan watching it, and to not pop for something like that as a fan is difficult. However, I will say, like, between these matches, I was considering the Hangman and Swerve match because it's so stuck in my memory right now. I love that match as well. But I just think the quality of the Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay, and considering that was like the 2nd of January or something, we're talking about match of the year at the very start of the year. We have had a very good year of wrestling this year with some outstanding matches. Mania, you think about Mania, you think like the Kevin Owens and Usos, the Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, the three-way that's on this list. Even Rey Mysterio and Dom, you're talking about matches that were fan-freaking-tastic. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We've bloody good year of wrestling. So anyway, that's why I chose Kenny and Will Ospreay.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw it straight to Sam for the same question.
Yeah, so there's something I've wanted from AEW since it began, and they gave it us in the beginning, in the early years, and it was the thing that got me so excited for AEW, and I still am. But that's Kenny Omega, having Kenny Omega matches against singles matches. The problem is, since the genesis of AEW, they did it when Kenny Omega was the champion, when he was holding the Impact Championship, the AEW one, and the Legacy TNA one as well. Funny how things change. But AEW, apart from that era, hasn't given us the Okada Omega level Omega matches that, for me, AEW kind of promised. The whole purpose, they built this company around the elite and the superb. Like, we've had some wicked Bucks matches. Everyone knows I'm not the biggest Bucks fan. Adam, Hangman Page, I can take him or leave him. I hated that Swerve match with Page. There was so many things that were great about it, but it was just a little bit too gross for me. Maybe I'm squeamish, I don't know. But when it came to that Tokyo Dome match, Omega versus Ospreay, that was the match I'd been waiting for. That was the match that I had spent years watching AEW for, paying for their pay-per-views. It was old school New Japan style Omega. I don't know if it needs Kenny Omega to, I don't know, go to France or something, and Gedo to book it. I don't know why I keep saying that tonight. Sorry, but I think something about Omega in New Japan is where the matches are. AEW just hasn't delivered on the promise of Kenny Omega for me. They keep sticking him in 6-men. Same with Aleister Black, or what's it called, Malachi Black. At what point do they give this guy a bloody singles match? Is Tony Khan? What are you doing? And I feel like the AEW's got some amazing wrestlers, and the whole premise of this company is dream matches. Why do we have to go for New Japan before we get any? And that is why I know I'm not really putting over the match. I'm more explaining my reasoning, but it's just because it reminded me who Kenny Omega was. And that is what I love about that match. Second one was cracking, but that first one, just brilliant. That is what I'm here for.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a compelling argument because that is what we expect from Kenny Omega,
Yeah.
doing these 5-star, 6-star matches. And yeah, I agree that we haven't seen probably the best of him over the past couple of years with injuries. But this year he seems to have come back into his own with these Will Ospreay matches. And I just can't wait to see Will Ospreay in AEW as a full-time member of the roster, because it's going to be absolutely elite level. No
I just
pun
want to
intended.
like just to caveat this, like, yes, is a Golden Lovers reunion a big deal? Yes, of course it is. Is Kenny Omega wrestling with the Bucks a big deal, or Paige a big deal? Yes, of course it is. But Kenny Omega, you know, the whole, like, what is the best part of Kenny Omega is when he has a half an hour match with another warrior and they absolutely destroy one another. Now, I'm not saying he needs to do that week in, week out. Just do that at pay-per-views. That's fine. But come on, Tony, do it a couple of times a year. I know the guy's out at the moment and he's not very well. And I said all my good wishes to him to get better. But when you do, Kenny and Tony Khan, let's give Kenny Omega what he's good at: singles matches. That's what made this guy's name. This guy is one of the, if not the best wrestler in the world. I know that's subjective, but this guy is absolutely. Again, Dan, we know about that. That's factored in. We're not going to see him for a while. I'm saying in the future, let's correct it. Let's give this guy amazing singles matches, because right now, as far as I'm concerned, no one does it better.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I'm going to throw it up to Andy for Ilya Dragunov versus JD McDonough.
Okay, this is going to sound like it's come out of nowhere, but I will preface this with I sent like 6 matches over to Dan, so he's picked the first one that I put on there, because I did also have things like Usos versus Sami Zayn KO. I had Bianca Belair versus Io at Backlash. I had Dragunov versus Carmelo Hayes. I had Charlotte versus Rhea. But because this is on here, I will do my best to try and persuade people. Sometimes things don't have to be on like the biggest stage to be the best match. Sometimes things just stand for themselves, and you'll get a bit of a theme that I'm hardcore NXT. The Dragunov versus JD McDonough match had a screwy finish as well, but it didn't detract away from the fact that this was such a quick, fast-paced match where it was just 2 guys beating the hell out of each other, but in a way that was so entertaining, and it just showcased how good both of them are in the ring. And it was just, again, at that turn where they were kind of moving away from more of the character-based stuff into just some hard-hitting action. And it just shows I'm yet to see a Dragunov match where I'm like, that wasn't a banger. Like, he's so talented at what he does. And I think, again, this was just kind of at that start where he was catching a bit of fire in NXT, and just before JD got called up to the main roster as well. But if you haven't checked this match out, it's not going to take up too much of your time. I believe it was probably only about a 10-minute match, but it's very fast-paced. It's very quick. And sometimes it's just nice to have a bit of a refresher, like a palate cleanser in amongst like things that have longevity. Like, I'll take nothing away that Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay match. As someone who doesn't watch AEW as a weekly show, that's a match where I was like, cool, I need to check that out. That's how big the gravitas around that match was. So there are matches like that where it's a blow off for something, or like a dream match. But for me, I just had to throw a bit of a sort of alternate one out there amongst all the other ones that I did mention. But I'll completely understand why other people would vote for any of these other ones, because they were entertaining in 3 very different ways.
100%. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Every single match that I got sent for this list in this section, I went back and I sat and watched every single one of them again, just to make sure that I was throwing a solid match into the mix. Gunther versus Sheamus versus McIntyre for me was match of the weekend at WrestleMania. Triple threat matches are notoriously hard to try and get every single person in the match to be showcased evenly, but still build every single character. Gunther had held on to the title for long enough at that point. You had the friendship between Sheamus and McIntyre going up against each other. Sheamus obviously needs this title for his completely gone. Someone help me out.
For his
Grand Slam. That's the one.
Yeah.
So there was investment in it from every single character, and there was so many different dynamics. These guys know how to work a strong physical style. Every single thing you'll see in the ring looks like it hurts, because it probably does with these guys. They don't pull the punches. They don't hold back on anything. I know that you've got completely different match in the Hangman Page Swerve Strickland match. You've got another completely different, more athletic match with Omega and Ospreay. Dragunov and McDonough. Dragunov doesn't put on bad matches. So, in all honesty, any one of them could have been my winner. But again, I watched every single match, and I ended it with Gunther versus Sheamus versus McIntyre. And I just watched it, and I was like, I can't not put this match forward, because it just did every single thing right for me in terms of what I wanted from a match. It was big men slapping beef. It had so many sort of treacherous moments of someone maybe going a pin and it gets broken up at the absolute last second. So to me, it was absolutely fantastic. I did put the poll onto YouTube because we had 4 matches. Swerve versus Hangman got 9%. It might have been a bit too gory for some. Dragunov versus McDonough again got 9%, so it could be that it wasn't on a bigger showcase of a match. I'm disappointed because Gunther versus Sheamus versus McIntyre only got 18%. So it meant that the winner was Omega versus Ospreay with well over half of the votes at 64%, which, again, I'm not disappointed. It is the match of the year in terms of the global aspect, I think. But any one of them well deserved to be the winner for that one for me. So I'm going to end that poll. And our final one for the night before we do jump over to SmackDown is Wrestler of 2023. So this one is going to be a hard one because there's that many good performers, amazing performers that have been on shows this year. So I am going to... How am I going to start this one? I'll start from top to bottom. So, Andy, you put, again, 2 votes, Gunther versus or Dragunov. So I'll let you pick which one you're going to pick first, and then I'm going to put the poll up with the one that you decide.
Well, see, here's the thing. I could go with who I think is going to win, or I could go with who I think deserves it, because I'd argue that Gunther's most likely to win because of his body of work. But I'm going to go with Dragunov because I feel like he actually does like fully deserve it in the sense of like consistency and like his development and just where he's kind of come from to where he is in 2023 just can't be discounted. He is, to me, the one of 3 people in NXT who will become the faces of WWE moving forward. He wrestles in a way that I think actually appeals quite a lot to people who watch AEW each week. Same with Gunther. I think they're the 2 guys who, if they were like, actually, if we could lift someone out of WWE, I think those 2 guys' names will be mentioned quite a lot. And I think that's one of the big things where it sort of transcends. People might have a bias towards one or the other promotions. But Dragunov's work, like, he fully understands who he is. He fully appreciates like what he's good at and where he's got to improve. But man, when you watch Dragunov match, you know you are going to be in for like just hard hitting action from start to finish. He drags great matches out of everyone. And I could easily be describing Gunther here as well. I could easily be describing Danielson because that's what all 3 of those in particular on this list are very good at. Is it doesn't matter who their opponent is. They can slightly adjust what they do, but they can also pull that other person into a place where they need to be. And I think he's just such a good ring technician. And this has been a year where he's kind of coming out year. So in some respects, maybe he's not just wrestler of the year 2023, he's maybe the most improved wrestler because he's now on a global stage, which he's never really had before because he was on NXT UK. Now he's over on NXT. And I would hazard a guess before the end of 2024, Dragunov will be on Raw or SmackDown, and he'll be killing it there as well. But I just think he's had a fantastic year, and I hope he keeps on going and his status keeps elevating.
Yeah, I think that will happen. He's not the biggest guy, but Triple H obviously for Raw and SmackDown doesn't care too much of that. But he is an absolute badass when he gets in between them ropes every single time. And you know you're going to have quality
selling as well. It's his selling. Like, you get people like Dolph Ziggler who can sell really well, but like Dragunov's selling is so realistic and like believable that if this happened, like you would be holding your neck for the rest of the match. And it's like little things like that. He's so good at it. Like going on sort of like he does this weird thing with his legs where he's on like rubber legs, and like you'd be like, yeah, you would be knackered and you would be struggling to stand properly, and he just gets it. And like even Gunther doesn't go through that like little things. Like sometimes Gunther will like chop the turnbuckle and then not sell it sometimes, and then sometimes he does. Whereas Dragunov's so consistent in actually my knee's killing, I wouldn't be able to stand on this turnbuckle, I couldn't do a German suplex, and like that for me is nuance. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I can't argue with that. It's absolutely fantastic argument for Dragunov there. I'm second in the list. I actually went for Bryan Danielson for this one. I think when you say wrestler of the year, if you haven't got Danielson in the mix, there's something wrong. For the past few years, he's always been, I think, in the top 5 of best in-ring workers by a long shot. And when you break your arm 10 minutes into a match and still continue for another 10 to 15 minutes, and no one knows that you've broken your arm, that shows some absolute badassery. And you're still putting on a fantastic match, even with that injury. But from start of the year all the way up until recently, Danielson is consistently one of the best in-ring workers, I think, from start to finish. I would love to see Danielson versus Dragunov. That would be an unbelievable match. And I wouldn't know who I'd want to win that one because it is such a good pairing. But Danielson, year on year, I was never his biggest fan at the start of his run. I didn't really go into the yes movement. But looking back now, he was still producing brilliant work there. But this year, for me, I think some of the best matches of the year that I could go back and watch every single week and never be disappointed. I'm going to throw it down to Anne, who actually said Swerve Strickland. So,
yeah, come at me, Misfit. I'm not bothered. I'll tell you why Swerve is Wrestler of the Year 2023 and not just 2024. And that's because this year, okay, the start of the year was pretty quiet for Swerve Strickland. When he got into that Darby Allin feud, which was about 7 months ago, he has been on the rise. And every single time I see that man on my screen, I cannot take my freaking eyes off him. I am interested in his promos. I am interested in his matches. I am interested in the variety of matches that he has. Swerve Strickland, for me, has made me really excited about someone. I didn't follow Swerve in the WWE. He was part of Hit Row, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it was nothing to me. Now, he engages me. He excites me to watch Dynamite, as well as people like MJF. And you know that I'm the AEW dude here. Again, the Swerve is more recency bias. No disrespect to him. No, I understand the recency bias. And that's, again, why I didn't put him in Match of the Year for the Hangman Swerve match. Because that, again, like, kept coming into my head. Is it because it's just recent? And I was like, I think it is. I think the Will match was better. But I do generally think, like, in the last 7 months, his rise has been meteoric, and it really excites me for 2024. And that's why, to me, because I get really excited about that. And anyone else that I could think about as a wrestler, whether it was on this list or not, hasn't grabbed my attention for a year. There hasn't been any wrestler that's grabbed my attention for a year. You could say, looking at the list, Danielson, he's been off for a while. Gunther, I've not been following WWE, so I can't really comment on him. Dragunov, I don't lick Shawn Michaels' ass like Andy clearly does. MJ, it doesn't need up. So that is why I said Swerve. So yeah, hope that's a good enough reason for y'all.
Yeah, I mean,
I wouldn't take that, Andy. I wouldn't take that.
It's all right. Sure, Michael's ass doesn't taste like cocaine.
Nah.
I don't get. I get high off it, man. Shazam!
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 I mean, again, I can't argue with that. Swerve recently has been doing absolutely amazing work, but I think earlier on in the year he has been doing work that was probably under-recognised for how good it was at the time. But you'll look back now and go, actually, it was absolutely smashing it out the park back in the early part of the year.
But I can't remember who it was at the start of the year, and that's a problem. And,
yeah.
And I don't look and find who it was. It doesn't matter. The problem is I don't remember against at the start of the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But I still think the last 7 months, ever since the Derby thing and Derby and Sting, it's been growth on growth on growth up to the point that we get to now.
Yeah. Start of the year, he was going up against people like Christopher Daniels, Ortiz, Brian Pillman Jr., A.R. Fox.
Then Misfits point absolutely stands. Like, that's all absolutely forgettable. You know what I mean? But it is, isn't it? Like, let's be real. You're naming these names, and I'm like, well, they are all forgettable matches for Swerve Strickland compared to now. And so Smith has a point, and I'll listen to that. But I'll also say these last 7 months. But you could also say Danielson's been off for 4 months. You know?
Yeah.
Great match with the card, and he had several great matches. So, MJF has been off for a couple of months. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm going to throw it down to Dom, who said Ilya Dragunov. So I'm going to have another argument for Ilya Dragunov.
Absolutely. I love Swerve. Gunther, incredible wrestler. Danielson, normally, yes, but he's been, like I say, he's not been around as much. MJF, I find his promo work to be incredible. His in-ring work has improved. All decent picks for this. Particularly Swerve, again, who I've become really invested in. But Dragunov, man, I want to take a moment to plug Andy's interview on WrestleSphere as well. For anybody that comes back to this, you can go check that out on WrestleSphere. Andy did a cracking chat with Ilya before he won the NXT Championship earlier this year. But yes, every single time I watch Ilya Dragunov, I feel it. Obviously, I don't feel it myself, but I feel like I feel it, Like I watch wrestling, I've had this conversation with you guys many times. I watch wrestling to suspend my disbelief, to see Anthony's left because he knows I've got a winning argument over him as usual. I just think, I watch wrestling to kind of, I like spooky stuff. I like, Bray Wyatt is one of my favorite wrestlers. But I think Dragunov makes me feel it. Dragunov's my favorite wrestler who makes me believe that he's really in pain, man. He makes me, I watch it all the time. Nice shirt, Sam. I watch it all the time. Clips and stuff now these days. But Dragunov, man, his promo work's got way better as well. Like I wasn't sure he was going to translate on the main roster. It's a shame because he's such a great talent, such a great wrestler. But his promo work's become exceptional over the last year, from what I've seen. Accent, everything else be damned, he's nailing it, and he's going to be, and he looks good. He dresses well. He could represent WWE in multiple forms. He is a WWE guy. He's become a WWE guy, much in the same way that Gunther has on the main roster. And so, yeah, I think his matches, for exactly the same reasons Andy said, and obviously I respect everybody's opinion on here except for Anthony's, but particularly Andy's, when it comes to Dragunov and multiple other things, but particularly Dragunov, just because he, you know, right on the money, mate, with all of your points there. He's an incredible performer. You know, you could see him main eventing weekly television on the main roster. You're already seeing him do it on NXT. You know, it remains to be seen whether he will main event at WrestleMania. But stranger things have happened, and I would love to see that for Ilya Dragunov, because he is the wrestler's wrestler. You know, he really believes, he feels the pain, and and you've seen his body. I think he does really. You know, he really puts it all out there, and I admire that and I respect that. And he is the exception to my rule, one of very few, where, you know, again, I watch wrestling to not think about real stuff sometimes. But Ilya kind of makes me want to. Yeah, I think that's his whole thing, isn't it? He just keeps going through the pain, and that, you know, I take that as a message. People just carrying on, cracking on. And doing good stuff and winning championships or winning at life. If you're you know, if you're not a wrestler, I can get behind that, and I think that's his message. So yeah, I've got all the time in the world for Ilya Dragunov, and he is absolutely my wrestler of 2023.
Yeah, again, another compelling argument for Dragunov there. We're going to throw it down to Sam, who picked MJF.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting to pick MJF, and I'll tell you why I did. There's two reasons. So I'll look at Wrestler of 2023, and when I see that word, part of me thinks, do I book the guy who's been the best, like, technical wrestler, the best fighter, you know, like Gunther, Swerve's, like Danielson and Gunther and Dragunov, all three are insanely good at that, and Swerve has had a breakout year. I know I didn't like that gory match, but I see why a lot of people did. I can see why it was game-changing. Anthony, what are you doing? Sorry, mate. No, I was like, oh, hands everywhere. But with MJ...
Oh, I was watching after this. So
actually, no, fair enough, mate. Well, you should see SmackDown right now. But yeah, with MJF, it's, for me, he's been the whole package. And MJF has had a lot of stick in recent years for being a better talker than he's been a worker. And AEW's really played into that as well, with him not doing, you know, only just started to do jumping out the ropes and things like that. But for me, there's no one, he's proved all his haters wrong this year. He's proved that he can be a babyface, but booking it the right way. He's proved that he's amazing in the ring, like that match with Adam Cole is still amazing. And that one he had the other day. Anthony, who was it with? The one where he was injured all the way through it with Jay White.
Yeah, go on. Yeah.
No, I loved it. I thought I didn't like it the first 5 minutes of it. I thought it was a bit slow, but then when it got going, the ring psychology, it was fantastic. So for me, when I think about the guy who's entertained me the most this year, it is probably him, and he's the guy I'm most excited about going into 2024 and seeing where he goes. There's so many people I could have put in this spot, so many, but the guy I look forward to seeing, like, it would have been Roman Reigns, but he doesn't turn up to TV. So the guy I now look forward to seeing every week and hearing what he says, and what the TV sells the pay-per-views to me is MJF. So there I am, you know.
Yeah. Again, can't argue with any of that. There's a good reason behind everything that we've said tonight for every single sort of participant, every single selection that we've made for every single category. This is why I wanted to do the video, because everything that we've spoke about is subjective. It's an opinion. An opinion can't be wrong. So it gives people a little bit of an insight into our brains, how we work, what we like to see. And I think you've already got a vote going for Wrestler of the Year. So if you want to pick one of them, you can do. But there's always going to be people saying that we're wrong, people saying that we're right. And that is the fun part about this.
Who's typing?
Me, sorry.
Sam.
Hassan is a very important member of our community. I was responding to him, but I should have gone on mute. Anthony, sorry, you were saying.
Just to respond to Misfit in chat, Jay White absolutely should be in a Wrestler of the Year 2023.
Agreed.
He did have an incredible match with Omega. He has had incredible matches all the way through this year. The reason I didn't choose Will Ospreay, because he was in my consideration, was because of my own naivety. I haven't watched enough of Will Ospreay outside of the stuff that he's done in AEW. So it's very difficult for me to pick. However, I can understand why most outlets, Fightful, etc., will all have Will Ospreay as that Wrestler of the Year, because they have the time to be able to watch that, and I don't have the time to do that. The reason I don't watch WWE isn't because I hate WWE, it's because I only have so much time in my week, and I can only devote so much of that to wrestling, and so I've got to be choosy on what I choose to watch. And the reason I choose to watch AEW is because that's the type of product I enjoy. So I understand why you'd say that, but I just want you to understand why I've not put him in, because I haven't watched enough. Does that make sense? And again, you bring up Orange Cassidy. He had incredible matches this year for that segment of 6 months. Again, as we sort of said with Swerve, it's interesting wrestling. Sorry, carry on.
I was going to say, so, if you don't mind, Dan, I just want to quickly support what Ant was saying there.
Yeah.
Like with the Jay White thing, it was a little bit too WWE. Well, I'm of the view, as a guy who doesn't do any of this tribal bullshit, we're allowed to swear now, so we've already been demonetized. So, I sometimes think AEW could benefit from being a little bit more WWE, and I sometimes think WWE could benefit from being a little bit more AEW. Sorry, I sometimes think, everybody could benefit from borrowing from the best of everybody. Let's not pretend that both of those two main promotions are perfect. Or, they're both brilliant, and they're sometimes equally shit as well. Sorry, they are. I love them both to death. It's why I do this. It's why I turn up here nearly every week and wear this stupid hat and do all of that. I love these things, but they're not perfect. They can borrow from each other. AEW being a bit WWE sometimes ain't always a bad thing. If they start doing I don't know, the 24/7 championship, then I'll be there failing them with you. But Jay White, I can't believe I'm saying this. Jay White is a bit of a sports entertainer. Sorry, guys. And it works for him. Dom, don't nod. I hate that term.
He's great. Jay White's wonderful. He's one of my favorite wrestlers.
He's full on Bullet Club, full on all of these things. And in regards to Orange Cassidy, stupidly talented, that dude. Stupidly talented. But he doesn't really do it for me. I have in the past fast-forwarded his matches because I've seen them before. I don't take anything away from him. He's great. I love him. The kiddies love him as well. But I'm a bit bored. Turn him heel for Christ's sake. Over to you, Dan. Sorry, mate.
No, it's fine. This is what I'm here for. This is what we're all here for. We're here to give our opinions. But I'm letting the YouTube community have a look. Swerve has actually got 0% on this one.
Oh,
Danielson has got 25%. MJF has got 33%, and the overall winner is Dragunov with 42% of the vote.
That's amazing! Wow,
that's
awesome.
Can I just say, by the way, there is a lot of chat, and I'll be the one who bites on this in the comments about how many matches people have had. It doesn't matter how many matches people have had, because by that logic, I've just looked. Austin Theory had the third amount of matches in WWE.
Hey, he's great.
Doesn't make him the best wrestler of 2023. It's all about the quality over quantity. Surely, someone could be injured for half a year, depending on when it falls, or be off for half the year. They could still have a fantastic other half of the year and absolutely knock it out of the park. It's mind-blowing that someone would go into the stats and go, this person's only had 22 matches, so they can't possibly qualify to be the wrestler of the year. It doesn't work like that.
With the
this
video,
that's it.
work rate is work rate is important, Dan. Like, I mean, and Andy, yeah, but you're absolutely right. It's work rate is totally important. I know Dan is saying that's not what's being said yet. And I don't think he's saying that's indeed what's being said. It's no one's discounting work rate, but it's what Andy's saying is it's sometimes fixated on, is what he's saying. Oh, sorry, Dan. Over to you. I keep doing that.
No, it's fine. I mean, rest of 2023, everyone's going to have their own opinion of it, and this for me was what I wanted. I wanted an opinion. I didn't want. We always see stuff like the PWI pouring stuff for they think was wrestler of the year, but sometimes you don't agree with it because you might not like the promotion, you might not like the style of wrestling, so you're not engaged in it. But we've all picked different wrestlers for different reasons, and that is why an opinion video is, I always think, so much more fun, being able to chat about all of this. And I mean, I would never have put Swerve in the list for me, but listening to Ant's argument, it's a very compelling argument. So I can always sort of expand my vision and go back and look at Swerve's year as a whole and go, actually, yeah, he was absolutely smashing it for the majority of the year.
Can I just say as well, Dan, Io Sky, the one, that awesome wrestler from Japan, Io Sky, is having a wicked match against Bianca Belair and a few others right now. I don't want you thinking I'm not looking at SmackDown. I am, and Io Sky is already the woman of this match. That's Io Sky.
Nice little plug for Io Sky.
Io Sky. She's ace.
Okay, yeah, all right. On that note, though, I think Gunther. Again, Gunther's probably the most mainstream on this list, and has rightly so made it to every. I think he's going to make everybody's list, man. I think if you look at anybody's list, whether it's professional wrestling magazines or podcasts like ourselves, whatever. He's going to be the top of everyone's list, so it's interesting to see other picks. I'm really happy Dragunov won our poll for our podcast because he's not going to be on everybody's list. Everybody's going to pick Gunther, and rightly so. But
Ilya Dragunov is the one show we don't cover on the podcast. Damn it, we're missing some out.
But it shows how good of a wrestler he's been this year when he is the winning. He's one of the big talking points of the full show.
I've got another thing for Jack.
Is Jack actually watching?
No,
probably
but
not.
Freaking, he'll send me photos.
Sam, you're typing again. I can.
That's not me.
Is it not you? I'm just like it's EO Sky. It definitely is, right? It's definitely EO Sky. Yeah. Are you just
That's
saying
what
that?
the announcer says.
Yeah. Are you just saying that to?
You're on mute, Sam.
Did you just mute me, or did I mute myself?
No, I didn't mute you. I didn't touch you.
Oh, normally you do. Touch me, I
do.
mute.
No, normally I do, but I didn't. Are you doing a second? Are you doing a second cinnamon? I said you didn't have to.
Oh Jesus! What?
You don't have to do this, man. Don't do this. I'm pleading to you like Jim Ross pleading to the Undertaker. You don't have to do this.
Whoever wrote that, by the way, I.O. Sky, you're a bastard, but you're absolutely accurate.
I said CM Punk is not returning to WWE within a year. That is why I've done one for Dom, and now this one's for Jack. Merry Christmas, you filthy
Merry
animals.
Christmas, Sam.
This was me so many years ago.
Oh, the witches are here, Dom. The Scottish witches.
Breathe through your nose, man. Drink some water.
We've
Drink
had this
some water.
conversation, Anthony. We've had this. That's not going to make it better. That's beer. I'd like. You can't just say no to this shit, Ant. You can't just say no. I'm not doing it, mate. Screw you. Make me.
No,
show me the man.
no. I'm glad he did it because I did do one, and I'm happy he did one.
Lol.
Thank you for that, Anthony. That means a lot.
Thank you for your suffering.
Thank you. Yeah.
Oh, Fox, that's a lovely comment.
Did you empathise with me now that what I went through 4 or 5 years ago? Yeah.
I can't believe someone
vomiting into that bucket as you laughed uncontrollably.
No,
I've not vomited. I've not vomited yet.
No, you haven't. Yeah, it's there. It's out there.
I love how this began in anarchy and it ends in anarchy. Right.
Yeah.
I finished this crate of beers, by the way. It's a good effort. Look at that.
Well done, mate. Well done.
A few more to go.
Well, it's good to see you, lads. Yeah. Well done. Nice to see you all.
I'm a fan of how bedraggled your hair has become over the course of the last 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were like Ryan Gosling at the start of this.
I'll take that as a compliment.
You should. It was intended to be one.
I've become more
Very swish.
more Donald Trump, I guess, as the
I'm going.
Yeah. Right, you off to SmackDown?
Yeah. No, I was going because you mentioned Donald Trump.
Only the hair, man.
Would anybody look? Shall we keep this party going? We've got an hour and a half, 90 minutes. We were already half an hour late for SmackDown, so why don't we all just go over there and have a
I was going to say, I've got an idea. I was going to save it till tomorrow night, but I've got my Pro Wrestling Tees creator who wants to see me open that
over on SmackDown.
Or
come on, boys!
We can have an early Christmas present for us all.
Yeah, come on, we're all here.
Completely secret. No one knows what's in there. Even the card that we got in last month basically said they're not going to tell us anything that's in this month's box.
Wow. Oh, Fox, you're popping.
I will be that guy though, and say if you try and get me to stay up any longer, my eyes will close, and you will just have a video of me sleeping for the next 3 hours.
That's fine, mate. We've got your beautiful face. We get more views. Guys, including the hosts, we're all going over to SmackDown. Let's do it. Come on.
I'll come over for a.
Yeah,
come over for a bit.
I'll come over for a bit. I'll go grab my.
I'll come over for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, baby. No, 90 minutes, Dom. 90.
A couple of minutes.
87 minutes. There you go. I'll see you there.
I'll see you there. Bye, guys. Who's doing the outro? How does that even work anymore?
Don't worry. You'll lot go over there. I'll finish this one up.
All right. See you later.
All right. See you
soon,
guys.
Oh, yeah. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year and all that jazz.
See you soon, guys.
Bye.
Thank you very much for everyone that has joined me so far tonight. Thanks for everyone in the chat that's keeping us entertained, popping us all, and who has been interacting on the votes. It's nice to see people have been enjoying them. We are literally heading right over to SmackDown. I will grab that and I'll put a link in somewhere. Let me find the video. That one, copy link address. There you go. So we'll be heading over to that link in a second. So if you do want to come and see us, and I will go grab my Pro Wrestling Tees crate, and I will be unboxing that one across on SmackDown. So we shall see you soon. Very soon.
It's Gangrel, the Vampire Warrior. Hello and welcome to Gimme a Hole. Yeah, our podcast. I hope everyone in Yorkshire and beyond is having an awesome day. Keep fanging and banging.